There's been a rich football history in our nation's capital. They've been playing professional football in Ottawa for over 125 years. And along the way, this city has seen 9 Grey Cup championship teams, creating football legends. Now, after a 6-year absence, the CFL makes its return to Ottawa, and football in the city begins a new chapter as the Ottawa Renegades make their CFL debut tonight against the Saskatchewan Roughriders. In the second game of our doubleheader, the Grey Cup champion Calgary Stampeders take on the Edmonton Eskimos in the Battle of Alberta. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football, kicking off another exciting season with a double dip.
Let's go!
Hello, football fans from coast to coast, and welcome to one very fired up and jam-packed Frank Clair Stadium. They're expecting a total sellout tonight, over 27,000, as the CFL makes its long-awaited return to the nation's capital. The Ottawa Renegades tonight kick off their franchise history against the old namesakes, the Saskatchewan Roughriders, two very motivated teams. And two very anxious coaches. There's Joe Pow on one sideline, Danny Barrett on the other. Before we play some football, our national anthem.
Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love, in all thy sons command, car ton bras sait porter les pays, il sait porter la croix. Son histoire est une épopée des plus brillants exploits. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Canada's Snowbirds salute the CFL and their newest franchise, the Ottawa Renegades. They've pulled out all the stops tonight. What a way to kick off the Canada Day long weekend here in the nation's capital. And welcome once again, everybody, to another season of Wendy's Friday Night Football right here on TSN. First of 50 games. We kick it off with a doubleheader tonight. Edmonton and Calgary is a little bit later, but we got a special one this evening. Dave Randolph, Chris Schultz, Matt Dunnigan, John Climbey, and here they come. Snowbirds. Woo! That's awesome. That was awesome. They flew right over our heads. Get some quick thoughts before we start playing some football. Jock Climbing, welcome aboard. His first regular season game, 12 years experience in the CFL. You played some of those here in Ottawa. You live here. Tell us how everybody's so excited about it.
Well, I tell you, this city is just hopping, exemplified by those planes flying overhead. You know, these fans in Ottawa, they deserve football. You know, there was no reason to take this franchise away from them. They came out and supported this team, win or lose, rain or shine. You know, when I played in the early 90s, we lost a lot more games than we won, and yet they still supported us. And I'll tell you another example of the rich tradition of football in this city. 90-plus alumni here, Matty. Some I played with, some that were playing before you and I were born.
That's right, Jock, and I had a chance to visit with a lot of those players before the ball game, and they're even excited about the way this franchise has come together. They're all here going to experience it, and I tell you what, the man responsible for this is Eric Tillman. Eric Tillman went out and no stop, no holds barred. He put all his sources together, and this is how he got it done. Expansion draft, outright free agents, key free agents, amateur draft, and your trades. Most recently, Donnie Ashley, Darren Davis. He went out there and made it happen, Chris. This team is going to be competitive from the get-go.
Well, Matty, let me talk about the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and I hate to say this. I know it's a cliche, and I know it's the first game of the year, but the Roughriders have to win this football game. All you have to do is look at the month of July. They have to play Calgary twice. They have to go to Montreal, Edmonton, Calgary, and then Hamilton to start a brand new month. I think if Saskatchewan does not respond, it's really going to shake the confidence of their team. This is about pressure and how you respond to pressure. There is no pressure on the Renegades. All the pressure's on the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They got to respond, David.
You guys ready for a little football?
Yes, we are.
Let's go. Let's play some football. Let's throw it up to the guys who will call all the action once again in the booth here on TSN. Here's John Wells and Glenn Suter. Guys.
CFL football is back in the nation's capital. Thank you, gentlemen. Frank Clair Stadium has always been a wonderful place to enjoy this game. It's never looked better. Tonight, we witness the birth of the Ottawa Renegades. Conditions are marvelous. A bright blue sky, 26 degrees, northwest at 20 as we kick off Wendy's Friday Night Football.
Partner, he played in Ottawa for 13 games back in '87, but that was under a different nickname, and he'll go down in history as the Ottawa Renegades' first ever head coach. Joe Paopau's perfect for the job.
Danny Barrett has been here many times before. He was Ottawa's quarterback for 2 years. Now in his third year as head coach in Saskatchewan, Glenn, he feels the pressure to get his team into the playoffs this time.
Chris Schultz mentioned it right off the top. Very important game for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. It is just game one, but the pressure's on them to win early and often.
Ready to get this rebirth, the renaissance of football in Ottawa underway. A rookie to kick it off. This is Dimitri Skrulis. And here we go. Out to the 40-yard line. Starting quarterbacks for tonight's game, brought to you by Wendy's, the official hamburger of the CFL. Nealon Green, new in Saskatchewan, and has one more chance to turn his whole life around. And Dan Crowley, the same thing for him with the Ottawa Renegades.
Of course, Nealon Green traded for Darren Davis. Darren Davis ends up playing here in Ottawa for the Renegades in another trade.
It'll be first down. Roughriders just inside the 40-yard line. Green trapped, got it away, and pounded it into the turf. Ex-Eskimo Nealon Green, the key to success in Saskatchewan. He looked terrific in the preseason. 4 pretty good targets in Rocky Henry, Quincy Jackson, Demetrius Bendross, and Derek Armstrong, a rookie running back. And up front, this is a veteran group including Moore, Green, and McCoskey. Second down and 10 to go. Riders. 3 receivers to the near side. Direct snap to Green from the shotgun. He likes to run. Lost the ball. And they say no fumble. John Grace got the ball for the Renegades.
Well, clearly the Ottawa Renegades are going to try and keep Nealon Green in the pocket. Good contain from both sides on the end. See, Nealon Green has to step up in the pocket. That's where he loses the handle. But the refs say he was in the throwing motion, so it's an incomplete pass. The Riders will be in third down.
So Paul McCallum steps in at the Saskatchewan 25. Whoa, big charge on McCallum, and this is the ex-Eskimo, Donnie Ashley, ready to return for the Renegades, away from the first wave and surrounded right there at the 27-yard line. A loss of 1 on the return. The punt traveled 44 yards. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football from Ottawa. First down, Renegades, and it's off tackle right for a gain of a couple of yards. Dan Crowley began his CFL career with Baltimore in '95. Tonight he has his own team for the first time. He is number 1 in Ottawa. And Crowley will have several familiar receivers like downtown Eddie Brown, Kevin Alexander, and Aubrey Cummings to toss to. Right now he's looking at 2nd and 5 as the Renegades are out across the 30-yard line. Make it 2nd and 6. Crowley going deep. He's got his man. Outstanding beginning for Jimmy Oliver, a 39-yard catch.
John, Dan Crowley wanted to go to Eddie Brown, who runs a quick out, but he's jammed up pretty good on the line of scrimmage, so he decides why not just go deep down the sideline to Jimmy Oliver, former BC Lion, and Oliver comes up with the first big play in Renegade history.
39 yards, and that brought this sold-out stadium to its feet. Down to the 40-yard line. So the Renegades have a first down on this drive. Crowley with 2 receivers to the far side, and that's where he looks. Far side of the field. Denny Montana. Looks like he'll have the first down. Montana stumbled, but he got up. So Crowley with the familiar targets like downtown Eddie Brown, Kevin Alexander, Aubrey Cummings, Denny Montana, ex-Eskimo Mark Nora, the key to the running game. And up front, these guys are studs. You've seen them all in the Canadian Football League. Dittman, St. Germain, Calder, Hudson, and Abu Metrik.
Lots of experience up front. Denny Montana down on the sidelines, was injured right at the end of that play. He was fighting for extra yards on the screen pass and works to the outside. You see, he keeps that right arm down to try and keep his balance, and right there he gets hit from Jason Mallett. Mallett sort of rolled over him, and they're checking out, looks like his hip.
Starting lineups, as always, brought to you by Midas. See Midas for your car care needs.
Great matchup. Matt Dunnigan talked about it at the beginning of the show. Joe Pow with Dan Crowley, and then on the other sideline, Danny Barrett and Nealon Green. 2 quarterbacks ready to go, ready to take that next step, and they have perfect mentors.
Well, I like 2 ex-quarterbacks on the bench, and that is a terrific matchup. These 2 guys, Joe Pow and Danny Barrett, have known each other for years. They coached together a long time ago in British Columbia, and they have waged war on football fields across this nation. 2 outstanding gentlemen, and Pow is back in the Canadian Football League. It's great to see your old pal Joe.
Oh, no question. And there's Denny Montana up, back shaking that injury off. Lots of experience, even though this is an expansion team, lots of experience offensively for Dan Crowley to work with. And you think of a guy like Eddie Brown, who's played 13 years in Canadian football.
Jimmy Oliver with a 39-yard reception. Denny Montana with 14 more. The Renegades are first down. Darren Davis the ex-Roughriders, against his former mates.
Well, defensively for the Saskatchewan Roughriders, big addition this year in the offseason when they signed Ray Jacobs over from the Calgary Stampeders. Travis Smith is in the middle, and a newcomer, Reggie Hunt, replaces George White. There's your secondary. They have played together for 2 years now. It should be a big, huge plus for the Roughriders. But Ray Jacobs, I tell you what, this guy has a Grey Cup ring on his finger, and you cannot replace that kind of experience.
Free agent picked up by the Renegades. 3 receivers to the near side for Joe Paupau's team. Crowley in trouble. Floats that one into open territory.
Oh, boy.
And that was nearly trouble. Aubrey Cummings got over to get his hands on the ball.
You know, one of the things in the game, this is the first game for both teams in the regular season. Of course, the emotion for the Ottawa Renegades in their first game in 6 years here in Ottawa. And you got to think that it's getting to them a little bit right off the start. You think offensively, if you can just relax and sort of weather the first couple of series, then everything settles down after that. And Crowley very nearly had one intercepted.
Dimitri Skouras will try and connect on his first CFL field goal. He's a rookie out of the University of Manitoba. Glenn Harper will hold. He is a veteran and a former Edmonton Eskimos. Skouras has the first points for the Renegades. Ottawa on top 3-0, a 29-yard field goal.
Ottawa on top, first points ever.
Back in Calgary. Rumas, happy wedding. Wait for a red light. Are you a rookie or what?
The veteran holder.
He is a rookie. He has the first points for the Ottawa Renegades.
Glenn Harper telling him, wait till the red light on the camera comes on.
On first down, there's not much running room for the Roughriders.
Defensively, for the Ottawa Renegades up front, their front 4, they're playing in their first ever game in the Canadian Football League. That's why Kelly Wilshire is so important. Picked him up in the expansion draft. In the secondary, they have the veteran Gerald Vaughn, who signed as a free agent. He will be the leader in a group that's trying to gel in a hurry.
They're very excited about this guy, Michel Bourreau. He's quick, he's got size. Out of football for 2 years after being a high draft pick by the Minnesota Vikings. Back in good health, and the Renegades are pretty excited to have him in the lineup. This is second down, Saskatchewan. A lot necessary. Bendros makes the catch and maybe wrapped up short of the first down. Donovan Carter, number 2, over to make the tackle. There's a flag after the tackle.
John, looked like Demetrius Bendros kind of threw the ball towards the opponent.
First down from here. Okay.
See what this penalty is. Very close to first down yardage.
Objectionable conduct. Saskatchewan, number 86. After the play, it's first down.
And then again, that's what I'm talking about. Early in a game like this, the emotions run so high. They do in every single game, but there's more to this one. The pressure on the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and of course, the return of Ottawa and Demetrius Bendros let that emotion get away with them a little bit and threw the ball after that play, and that'll put his team in a bit of a hole.
He made the catch on 2nd and 6, got first down yardage. Penalty applied after that, so it will be a Saskatchewan first down. Cedric Shaw had picked up 4 yards prior to that. Another newcomer in that Saskatchewan offense. So back now near the 35. Flags down again as Green goes to his right. Nice defensive play by Gerald Vaughn.
Well, again, we'll see a couple of these. We'll see a couple of procedures, a couple of offsides. That's natural in the first games of the season. The reason for that is because there's only 2 preseason games. Back when they were the Ottawa Roughriders, it was a month of training camp and 4 preseason games.
Offside, Saskatchewan, number 33. Penalties decline.
Chris
Second
Zarka.
down.
Big fullback called on the offside. Legal procedure. They were just having some problems with their motion, but we'll see a few of those. Maybe a time count violation from one of the teams. Get things started and they get rolling.
So back just across the 35-yard line. Nealon Green Saskatchewan Roughriders looking at 2nd and 10. From the shotgun, Green, as you know, a speedster outside.
Oh!
Almost picked up. Vernon Mitchell almost had his hands on the ball.
The play is partly made by Dave Thomas, who gets secondary contained. Here's the one-on-one matchup. Vernon Mitchell against Quincy Jackson. Quincy Jackson is behind Mitchell on the play, and actually Vernon Mitchell had a better shot at it. And with the help of Dave Thomas, a middle linebacker who made Nealon Green throw that ball when he didn't want to.
Alive.
So 3rd and 10, Saskatchewan back at the 21 is Paul McCallum. Ready to receive a high punt. Donnie Ashley. Flags are down. Nice return by Ashley out to the 45. Eddie Davis leading the tacklers. The punt 51, the return 22. We'll sort it out when we return. Frank Clair Stadium in Lansdowne Park, Ottawa. The inaugural game for the Renegades. Back in the CFL after 5.5 seasons. And we missed our trips to take a look at this wonderful canal and the nation's capital through those years. Renegades with a first down out at the 27. Infraction was against Ottawa on the return, and that's why they're beginning back there. Big hit.
Yeah, they're hitting.
Mark Norrell was the ball carrier, the ex-Eskimo.
We got a good look at Mark Norrell going one-on-one with the newcomer Reggie Hunt, the linebacker for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Reggie Hunt has big shoes to fill. George White was a linebacker in that position a year ago. He's gone down to the Green Bay Packers, so it's up to number 9. They say he's maybe a bit quicker than George White, knows how to play in that box pretty well and play the run. He did it nicely there on Mark Norrell.
In for Norrell, 3 yards, 2nd and 7, Renegades. Crowley shotgun far side, over tossed Aubrey Cummings. Jackie Mitchell was covering. These two guys seem to be getting along extremely well. He was the obvious choice, Dan Crowley, of Joe Paupow and Eric Tillman when putting this team together.
Well, they wanted someone with experience, and Dan Crowley definitely has experience in the CFL. He's been in the league for 6 years. Playing in Edmonton, he's played some football, he's got some starts. In fact, had a huge game a couple of years back in 2000. Dan Crowley threw for over 380 yards and 4 touchdowns in one game. So he's got experience, and now he's got a very experienced coach to work with.
There's another Saskatchewan newcomer, Corey Holmes, out of Mississippi Valley, playing his first regular season CFL game and returning here, but not for much. Aubrey Cummings leading the Renegades tacklers and limiting the return to 5 yards after a 43-yard punt.
Wendy's Friday Night Football on TSN is brought to you by Wendy's. Wendy's Classic Double with Cheese is made fresh right when you order it. It's better here. By Molson Canadian. I am Canadian. And by Moore's Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed.
Saskatchewan first down. Renegades have the lead at 3-0 on a 29-yard field goal. Cedric Schaub, the rookie running back. Number 25 out of Iowa, 6'1", 220.
Yeah, and all eyes are on Cedric Schaub. Of course, he's replacing Darren Davis in that backfield. Davis had over 1,200 yards last year, so again, some pressure on Schaub. They like him. He's big, but he's quick enough to be able to break away in the open field. Had about a 5-yard average in the preseason.
He's a slasher when they look at him on tape. So it's Schaub spreading out to the far side this time, and over the middle, Nealon Green at Bendros. Bendros couldn't hang on.
Right now, the Ottawa Renegades are trying to shadow Nealon Green with their middle linebacker, Dave Thomas. Bendros looked over the middle because that's where Thomas usually lines up. So the strategy for this defense in Ottawa is to have a spy. And Dave Thomas, the rookie, has now got to try and run with Nealon Green over the field. That's what they've done so far.
McCallum to punt again, back at his 32. Donnie Ashley ready to return, standing at the Ottawa 15. Not as deep this time. Ashley across the 20. Nice move there. Another one there. Out across the 35 to the 37, 20 on the return. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football. Here's Crowley on first down, Ottawa. Davis made the catch and a nice run afterwards. He'll have the first down. Lots to prove for Darren Davis, a Western All-Star last year and traded by Saskatchewan to Edmonton.
Right, for Nealon Green. And then from Edmonton to Ottawa for a first-round draft pick. A nice pickup by Eric Tillman and the Ottawa Renegades. And this is good patience from Dan Crowley, who sees nothing down the field and just dumps it off to his back and then lets a quick feet of Darren Davis pick up the first down.
Renegades with 3 receivers to the far side. Nora straight ahead.
You know, John, this is an experienced expansion offense, if I can say it that way, because when you look at the games played for the offense in Ottawa, 913 games of experience. That's actually more than the Saskatchewan Roughriders offense. And look at the totals. Overall, 1,231 games of experience. Eric Tillman has built an experienced team with a bit of youth, a nice mixture for Joe Paopao.
Crowley on second down. Jimmy Oliver can't get away. Wrapped up by Davis right on the 50-yard line.
Now, having said that, they still are a bunch of individuals that have to somehow gel in a short amount of time.
39 new guys all moving to a new town.
That's right.
And trying to be a football team.
And they're dealing with all kinds of logistical issues, like where do 39 players live in the city? And the organization has done a very nice job of taking care of the players and trying to get them ready so that all they have to worry about is playing football.
Now here's Glenn Harper, ageless it would appear. He's 39 years old. His last game was with the Edmonton Eskimos in 1996, and he is the punter for the Renegades. Again, it's Corey Holmes deep for Saskatchewan. Harper had problems with it, got it away, and lucky to get about 20 yards out of that one. I'll make it 16.
Well, once the punter leaves his regular punting motion, in other words, if there's a problem, if he drops the ball, the snap is right in the hands, he just bobbles it. Now you can be hit, and he is hit, and that's why the punt only traveled a short distance, and Saskatchewan has way better field position than they would have. It looked like Glenn Harper just took a peek where the pressure was coming from. You know, it's been a while since Glenn Harper has seen the bullets fly for real.
First live action in 6 years. Around the Eskimos for a Grey Cup win back then. Nice play action fake by Nealon Green.
It was a nice one.
Executed perfectly, and Henry stopped short of the first down, but a nice play by Saskatchewan as Rocky Henry was wrapped up.
Well, Vernon Mitchell put the hit on him too, and when you look at this, like a nice play action fake for Nealon Green, who dumps the ball over to Rocky Henry. But I love the hit at the end of the play here from Vernon Mitchell. Look at that. Yeah, you're not sure what you got on defense. You got a bunch of young players, but you don't have to coach this. That's something you don't coach. That's just enthusiasm. And Vernon Mitchell came up and put a pretty nice hit on Rocky Henry.
Well, they like the way that Vernon Mitchell plays the game and the way he comes up with big plays. That's 2 already tonight for Mitchell. And what looked like would have been a more substantial gain is cut down to a 5-yard improvement for Saskatchewan.
Oh, you
Green
know.
in trouble, but look, he's away now. Nealon Green sliding safely at the 40-yard line, and that's his style. When he had great success in Edmonton, that's the way he played the game.
Nealon Green tried to run the fake hitch screen and then go deep over the top, and then it opened up in the middle, and he took off with the football. Right over here to the right, he's going to take that pump fake. They got it going on both sides, and it opens up in the middle, and he takes off. Danny Barrett is going to give Nealon Green this option as much as possible. He wants Green to use his legs to beat defenses.
And a little bit in the Danny Barrett style. is the way Nealon Green plays the game. Green complete again, far side. Broken tackle, chance here. Heading to the end zone. Henry will score. Rocky Henry has a 41-yard touchdown. Back-to-back big plays, and the Riders have the lead.
Great play calling from Danny Barrett set this touchdown up to Rocky Henry because he really had a nice series developed for Nealon Green. They went with the play action early. They go to a hitch pass, a fake hitch pass, and then back to a hitch pass, and that's how they score. A nice combination of plays set up this touchdown. Remember the previous play, they faked the hitch and Nealon Green ran. This time they throw the hitch, and Henry takes off, misses one tackle there, that missed by Ricky Bell, and Henry is in the end zone.
Paul McCallum has his first convert of 2002, and Saskatchewan is on the board and in the lead. Two big plays by the Roughriders. A missed tackle, the most crucial error by Ottawa.
Well, one missed tackle, and that can cost you if you're in the secondary and you miss it. Defensive line can miss, but you can't miss if you're a defensive back. You see Rocky Henry up at the top. Nice move there to get to the outside. And there's the miss by Ricky Bell, who had to fight off a block. Saskatchewan with the first major of the regular season for them.
First touchdown toss as a Rough Rider for Nealon Green.
Matt Dunnigan will tell you, those are the ones the quarterbacks love. Because that was a 3-yard throw that went the distance. You let your receiver do all the work.
And don't forget, Green got it started with a 20-yard run.
Sure did.
Just prior to that.
Sure did. It was a nice series of plays by Danny Barrett, who set that up nicely. Went with that fake hitch, get everybody deep and get the defensive backs thinking about it. That's the one that Green took off and ran with the ball. Very next play, he comes back and he throws that quick hitch. Danny Barrett, in his third year as a head coach in Saskatchewan, just seems to me to get more comfortable with his role, more experienced, and more accomplished as every year goes by.
Riders 1-1 during the preseason, losing 22-6 to Winnipeg, and then coming back with an impressive 3-point win, 27-24 over Edmonton. And Nealon Green had a solid game against his former team in that one.
Now we're finna roll this thing. Let's roll it.
Now some of those key free agent signings, those veterans for Ottawa, now they really play a part because you have to bounce back from adversity.
On the return for the Renegades, Donnie Ashley stopped at about the 29. Nice scoring drive engineered by Danny Barrett from the bench in communication with Nealon Green.
Well, it was 3 plays, and it was a nice set of plays. 3 plays that looked exactly the same with different results. One, the quarterback ran. One, the hitch pass Rocky Henry took off, and one, a play action to start things off.
Saskatchewan leading Ottawa 7-3.
Important series for Dan Crowley. Get a couple of first downs. Don't necessarily need to score on this series. A couple of first downs to take some momentum away.
A little early movement, as you saw, into the final minute now, the opening quarter here at Frank Clair Stadium.
This is where Dan Crowley looks to his veterans like Carl Coulter up front.
Ottawa, number 52, repeat first down.
Guy with 13 years experience. George Hudson has 3 years. Seth Dittman, 5 years Canadian football. These guys now have to pick it up. These are the guys that you look to when things start to break down.
First and 15, Renegades. Far side. Montana made the catch, but he's a long way from the first down. Morgan and Evans, a couple of Omars, in on the tackle.
Not a bad call, though, from Joe Powpow to throw that little hitch pass out there to Denny Montana, because it's a relatively easy throw. It gets a little momentum for your quarterback. You're not going to get 15 yards in one play anyway, so why not settle down, throw that little ball, get a little confidence, and let's go for the first down on second.
Gain is 5. This is 2nd and 10, Renegades. At the 30, zeros on the clock. Should be the final play of the opening quarter. Complete near the 40 and maybe a little shy of the first down. Downtown, Eddie Brown.
It's going to be close, John.
Made the catch. Whoa, look where they put the ball.
Be the first decision for Joe Paopao, as that ball was spotted just shy of the 40-yard line, which is basically where the first down marker is.
Well, from our vantage point, it's inches, isn't it?
Yeah. We'll take a measure on that before they switch ends.
That was the final play of quarter number 1. And there you go. First down, Ottawa. So the gang's all here at Lansdowne Park and Frank Clair Stadium tonight. Let's bring them in, Dave.
Yes, that's right, John. Just as the Beatles went to America, the panel has come to Ottawa for this very special night. So the Ottawa Renegades on the move as the first quarter ends. They find themselves trailing by 4-7-3. Everybody's anxious to see how both teams look. So Schultze will start with the new team, the expansion team, Ottawa. How have they looked to you?
Well, I thought early in that quarter they were pretty good, especially their defensive backs. They broke on the ball exceptionally well, almost had a couple tips for interceptions that could have turned everything. It's obvious that Donnie Ashley in the punt return game is going to make an impact for this Renegade team. But now the momentum is switched. Now it becomes execution. Saskatchewan ahead. Really, that was a big deal because they survived that first quarter. That's a positive for the Roughriders.
Yeah, Chris, that first quarter was filled with butterflies, but yet the Ottawa Ottawa Renegades came out and did an exceptional job of executing. Jimmy Oliver came out with a big play and got his team in an excellent field position right away for the young kicker, Dimitri scores, who ends up having a chip shot on the drive. Tremendous big play capability by Jimmy Oliver, seen already, and Jock, we're hoping to see a lot more of that from this Renegade.
Absolutely. You know, and of course, like everybody else, I've been watching this football game, but I've also been watching the fans. And the fans are in that interesting process where they're beginning to learn about these players and identify with these players. They watch a great throw by Dan Crowley down the sidelines. They watch a Darren Davis make a couple guys miss and scoot for a first down. Danny Montana struggling forward for a first down. Rookie kicker making a kick under pressure. They're beginning to identify with these guys, watch, learn, and they'll start to love this team.
I can't believe it. Schultze, you picked Dunnigan in the pool for the first guy to call the Ottawa Renegades the Rough Riders. Thanks a lot, Dunnigan. Cost me 20.
I'm just glad it wasn't the rookie.
Yeah, too many hits in the head there, fellas. Money should have been on me.
I'll take it. How did I know that was going to happen, Wellesley?
It was a pretty safe bet.
I'm just glad it wasn't us, partner, because I thought one of us would get it first.
We've still got 3 quarters to go.
Yeah, you're right. Renegades, 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 Renegades. Okay.
And they're doing fairly well against the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and a new beginning for CFL football here in the nation's capital. Numbers after the opening quarter. The 1 touchdown so far.
Yeah, and I think what you'll see in this second quarter and most of this game is that this will increase. I mean, you've got the Ottawa Renegades with some good running backs back there, and Darren Davis and Mark Nora, and you see the difference in gain on first down is really helping Saskatchewan offensively later in that first quarter. So I think you see those rushing yards increase in a big way, and I think Dan Crowley go back to that running game.
Well, Joe Paopao was known as the throwing Samoan when he was a starting quarterback in Canadian football, and he still likes that style of game. But he's got Mark Nora.
And that guy.
And he's got that guy as well. Darren Davis, number 28. Terrence Melton, another newcomer in Saskatchewan, making the tackle there.
Well, there's a lot more plays in the playbook for 2nd and 4 or 5 than there is for 2nd and 10. And that's why Darren Davis becomes so important to Dan Crowley, still trying to find himself into this offense that is still trying to gel.
Well, and one of the problems Saskatchewan had last year was stopping the run. That's one of the areas that they really had to work on.
Yeah, and they want to test it early.
8 for Davis. This is 2nd and 2, and Davis has it again around the corner. He'll have the first down, still standing across midfield.
Big Seth Dittman helped Davis out on that one. The big man, 5 years experience, and he's coming around the corner. Seth Dittman, well over 3 bills, opened some things up for Darren Davis.
He needed a couple. He picks up 8.
You're going to see 64. Watch him pull around to the outside. Look at that block right at the point of attack. That allows the hole there. Opens it up for Darren Davis. Picks up the first down.
Third carry, 20 yards for Davis already. Crowley will throw, or will he get it away?
Nice move.
Good move by Crowley, not afraid to run. And here he goes for a Renegades first down, stepping out near the 35.
John, the play broke down early because Jimmy Oliver, I believe, ran the wrong pattern. Dan Crowley went back to throw it to Oliver. I think he broke off his patterns. He turned around, he's ready to throw now, and they said, no, he's not in the spot I wanted him in. Now there's the good move to get back outside, buy some time, and then it opens up, and he takes off.
An 8-yard gain sets Ottawa up just outside the Saskatchewan 35 at the 36.
A little balance in this offense now. A little run, and then a little pass.
Montana to the near side. 2 receivers far side of the field. Straight ahead with Mark Nora.
The other thing that running game will do for you, you saw Seth Dittman with a big block for Darren Davis. It gives Dittman, Val St. Germain, Carl Coulter, those big guys up front, a chance to tee off. Now they have the emotion running in them as well, and they want to go out, fire out, and go hit somebody. And in pass blocking, you can't do that. You have to sit back on your heels, sort of wait for that defensive lineman to come to you.
Gain is 4. This is 2nd and 6. Renegades scored first. The Roughriders countered with a touchdown. Crowley stands in, won't get it away, lost the ball, but it came back to him. Ray Jacobs, the ex-Stampeder, was there.
Gets his first sack as the Saskatchewan Roughriders, and it was just hard work from Ray Jacobs because the blocking was pretty good initially, but Jacobs didn't quit.
Had 9 last year as a Calgary Stampeder.
See, Crowley has some time. He looks up in the pocket there, and then Jacobs slides underneath, and as Crowley steps up, Jacobs has him.
And Crowley might have been a little lucky to get the ball back.
I mentioned 9 sacks last year, and he's got one of those motors. Coaches talk about that motor. Always running.
So Harper is in. Ready to punt near midfield across the 50 to angle this one out. And does so at about the 7-yard line. No play at all for number 1 for Saskatchewan, McCullough. It's opening night in Ottawa. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football. Saskatchewan Roughriders with a 7-3 lead, pinned back inside the 10-yard line, looking at first down from there. Ottawa choosing to punt rather than try a 45-yard field goal. Cedric Shaw wrapped up and tossed to the turf.
Talked about the newcomer in that Ottawa defense, Dave Thomas. Dave Thomas has been doing a lot of moving around and different stunts. He's tracking Nealon Green. Comes out of Austin State. Tracking Nealon Green. And that time he stunts nicely right into the hole. See 58 move into the left. He stunts right into the hole that Shaw wanted to run in. He takes on a couple of blocks, and then there is no hole.
And Kelly Wiltshire's another Renegade there to make the tackle. So the loss is 2. This is 2nd and 12. Saskatchewan. Green lost it. Recovered by the Renegades. Number 98, Mike Moulton, has his first recovery of 2002, and look where the Renegades are set up.
See the movement again from these Renegades. Kelly Wiltshire going to take his man. You see Moulton fight for that football and come up with it. A huge play for Ottawa. Get these fans back in it and grab that momentum. Nice hit there by Telia Maveo. Another newcomer playing in his first game. That's a big hit. He was in the Chargers camp. He comes up with that huge hit.
Renegades first and goal at the Rough Rider 3. Confusion there. It may matter. Down to the 1-yard line is all. Vernon Mitchell.
Well, did he
stepped
ever
up and prevented the touchdown there.
Well,
it was all there for Nora.
The problem started, John, in the Ottawa backfield. Some confusion in the backfield as to who was supposed to go where. Almost a collision there between Aubrey Cummings and Mark Nora. Look at that hit, though, from Vernon Mitchell.
From the 1, Crowley. Renegades say they're in. There's no signal.
There it is.
And now they have a touchdown. First in franchise history. Couple of cracks at it from the 3. They make it from the 1. It's a keeper for Dan Crowley.
I guess so. First touchdown in Renegades history scored by the quarterback Dan Crowley, and that ball goes in the trophy case. And it may go in the team's trophy case.
And it might end up in the Football Hall of Fame someday, too. Crowley has the touchdown. Dimitri Skouras has the convert. Nice beginning for the Renegades, who have a 3-point lead, or a 2-point lead on Saskatchewan. Dan Crowley has the first touchdown in Renegades history. Ottawa has a 10-7 lead on Saskatchewan.
Well, if that football goes in the CFL Hall of Fame, under it will be Dan Crowley's name, but should be a couple of honorable mentions.
Absolutely. This is the newcomer for the Riders, Corey Holmes. A flag was down on a nice return by Holmes. Out across the 50, he covered 31 yards. And the key play.
Well, the honorable mentions on that trophy case should come for Penn Telemiveo. He's the guy that's going to come up with a hit on Nealon Green to pop that ball out of there, right there, number 97. And the other honorable mention goes to Mike Moulton, who gets the fumble. That results in this.
The touchdown, a 1-yarder for Dan Crowley. And the Renegades, in their home opener, their franchise opener, are having a great night tonight, celebrating the return of football to Ottawa. Long way to go, and the Riders have looked good too. Now we'll see if Nealon Green can respond.
Oh, baby. Donovan Carter.
What a hit by number 2, Donovan Carter.
Cedric Shaw hit it up there pretty nice. We talked about his power and that he's kind of a slicing type of running back. Well, he sliced in that hole, and there was a little chop from Donovan Carter of his own. Watch the big hit from Donovan Carter. Everybody was watching that big hit. Watch Donovan Carter step from the right of your screen. He's going to come up there, number 2, and boom!
Penalty marker is down. Renegades suggesting down there it's against Saskatchewan.
Donovan Carter, John, an interesting story. Signed as a free agent here in Ottawa. Spent the last 2 years in Toronto, but in Toronto, he was used as a linebacker. Renegades coaching staff looked at him, saw his movement, saw that he could get from hash mark to hash mark as a free safety in the passing game, and thought, not only that, but he can bring it when it comes to the hits.
The illegal substitution means it's 2nd and 14, Saskatchewan. Shotgun, Nealon Green, nice pass, complete over the middle at the 30-yard line. Quincy Jackson.
Quincy Jackson's played a lot of football, played in the XFL for Birmingham. You see how he just subtly moves to the inside position on Vernon Mitchell. Not a whole lot of shake and bake as he's coming off the line of scrimmage, but he gets leverage because he gets inside position. Then he turns in there and the ball arrives.
Close enough to measure. That much short. So on 3rd down, our Are you going here?
Well, yeah, you do. I think anytime you've got Nealon Green as your quarterback with those strong, powerful legs, and
It's
you're
about
inside
a
a
foot.
yard, yeah. You get in behind that veteran offensive line, you go get it.
Derek Armstrong comes to the near side. Third down as the Riders go gambling, and a flag is down there.
Well, this will be
A
interesting.
flag down. Green appeared to get the first down on second effort.
Now, normally, the defense is the one that are guilty on this kind of play because they're trying to anticipate the snap
Offside,
count.
Ottawa, defensive line, first down.
That's exactly what happened. You try and anticipate that snap count because really inside a yard, you're not going to hold them if you go on the snap of the ball.
So the Roughriders out across the 35. Trailing by 3. Green for Saskatchewan. Looking for a call. Derek Armstrong. You won't get it on the coverage by Donald Ruiz.
Donald Ruiz jumping that curl pattern. He's down here on the right-hand side of your screen. If you go to Bendros in the middle, he's open over the middle, but see Donald Ruiz falling right out into that curl area. That takes away that one. And then over the middle, Vernon Mitchell helps out.
Nealon Green hitting on 40% so far. Looking at 2nd and 10 here. Shotgun.
Uh-oh.
Oh, it's picked off. Gerald Vaughn, a veteran. He's made a lot of big plays in his career. And he grabbed one from Nealon Green.
Timing has been off for Green on those long outside throws.
Quincy Jackson was the intended target. Gerald Vaughn has it. All right. Gerald Vaughn has his 31st CFL interception, and the Renegades are inside the 50-yard line.
Watch Quincy Jackson. He's going to right here. Hold it here, guys. See, stop right here. This is where the ball has to be in the air for Nealon Green. Now, as if the ball's got to be in the air, and it wasn't. And that's why Gerald Vaughn had the interception.
First down, Ottawa. This is Davis. McCalla forced him out.
Gerald Vaughn took advantage of poor timing by Nealon Green. See, watch this. The ball's got to be in the air now. So that ball's in flight. He turns around. Quincy Jackson, the ball's there. Wait. That's too long to throw an outside pass. And Gerald Vaughn jumps it. Veteran of 10 seasons. And talk about a special team specialist.
Keep it up, baby. He is that, isn't he?
Keep it up,
Oh, is he ever. You can see the veteran in him coming out now on that bench, walking around, keeping everybody going.
Great on punt teams, has blocked a few. Davis away from one, and Darren Davis will have a first down on 2nd and 2.
Right now, partner, you got to think that Ottawa is loving this situation. Joe Paopao, the head coach, because coming into this game, obviously the expectations for coaches and players is to win. There's no question. But they are also realistic. They want to compete. They're trying to gel. And they have a lead going in close to halftime here with just 6 minutes left. So this is a perfect situation for a new team trying to get together.
Long way to go. It's only a 3-point lead.
No question.
6 minutes till halftime, just under that. Here's Crowley. Jimmy Oliver up after the catch, still going. They ruled him down.
He was down.
He was down and short of the first down.
It was awful close. Jimmy Oliver caught the ball on his knees and then jumped up, and Omar Morgan was coming at the same time. A very tough call for the officials to make on that sideline.
It is.
Here's the throw. It's going to be to the left of your screen from Dan Crowley. A little bit of a half roll. Now look at this ball. Now there goes Oliver down. Now gets up. And if he is up off his knees when he's touched, he can still run. Officials called him down. That was close.
Jimmy Oliver, 15 games with BC. Davis again. Another marker is down far side. Travis Smith made the tackle. And it would appear that Davis has enough for the first down if the penalty is against Saskatchewan.
Well, marker or not, what balance from Darren Davis. And I think the Ottawa fans are going to learn to love the way this guy runs the football.
Offside. Saskatchewan, number 92. First down.
Well, they'll take the penalty. Resulted in more yards than the play, but what a play that will never go down in the books as a play. Darren Davis was caught 4 yards deep in the backfield, but he is so shifty and has such great balance. What an addition. Eric Tillman picking up Darren Davis in a trade from Edmonton, who really had a few over the limit in the backfield there.
And he really hasn't been in Ottawa all that long. 5 carries, 34 yards. Crowley, oh! It was Davis, the intended target. And Reggie Hunt was defending.
Darren Davis going to check for the blitz. He sees there's no blitz, so he releases out into the pattern. Reggie Hunt took a bit of a gamble cutting under that play. Had Davis found a way to one-hand catch that one, it's a touchdown.
Well, he tipped it up. And had Davis been able to move the other way, he might have had a shot at it.
Big play for the Saskatchewan defense right here.
2nd and 10. Here's Crowley. There's Mark Nora. And he's down to the 10-yard line, short of the first down.
John, that's a huge tackle from that Saskatchewan defense. 2 players involved there were Ray Jacobs and Travis Smith, the middle linebacker. Mark Nora had some room. Saskatchewan's going to drop into zone. Watch Travis Smith, the number 50, right down here. There's Travis Smith. He drops into zone. Now, as this play develops, the screen is set up nicely. Look at the room Nora has. If not for the good hustle from Ray Jacobs, Travis Smith pulls him down. That's a big first down for Ottawa, and they're going in for the major. That's where the veteran Ray Jacobs comes in.
And here's the rookie, Dimitri Skouras, out of the University of Manitoba. Perfect in the CFL so far, 1 for 1, a 29-yarder earlier. Harper has it down. Skouras has it up. He's 2 for 2. And the Renegades had their lead, 13-7.
Yeah, and you know, when I made that comment earlier about the position that Ottawa's in right now, certainly not suggesting that this game is anywhere near over. At 13-7, we still have a half and 3 minutes to play. However, to be in this situation, head coach Joe Paopao has to be very pleased, because you want a team that is so new to each other to be able to compete out of the gate, and Ottawa has done that and more. In fact, they have the lead right now.
Well, the Renegades have the lead, and no one is happier, well, than everybody in Ottawa, I guess. But how about Eric Tillman here?
How you doing, pal?
Who's put this together, and you know, it's a long way to go in this evening and a long way to go in this season in the franchise history, but this is a wonderful beginning.
You know what, John, it is. I think first and foremost, we're happy for the alumni, for the fans. You know, great people here in Ottawa that deserve to have the Canadian Football League back in their hometown. For all the alumni, the Ronnie Stewarts, the Whit Tuckers that are here tonight, and you know, this has a chance to be something special as we develop.
Talked about expectations, Eric, and I know you guys want to win. That's the competitive spirit when you're in this game. But the expectations have to be realistic as well.
You know, and you're right, Glenn, but at the same time, we probably push ourselves more than anybody else. Those are competitive juices, and you understand those pretty well, don't you?
3-minute warning here. We got to cut you off for a second, but hang in here.
We'll be right back with Eric.
The final 3 minutes of the opening half. Saskatchewan first down. Nifty little play here as Maurer takes it, and he's across the 50-yard line.
Eric, I want to ask
Corey
you.
Holmes, I'm sorry.
I want to ask you about how you built this team, and we showed a graphic earlier. Offensively, you actually have more game experience than the Saskatchewan offense. It's got a nice blend to it, I think.
Yeah, it really does. I think Glenn, hiring a guy like Joe Paopao, guys want to play for, helped us tremendously in terms of free agency. The thing that we wanted to do, though, was to be physical up front, offensively and defensively. When you have a young quarterback like we do, if you can run the ball, that certainly takes a lot of pressure off the young guy.
Well, the expansion draft worked well. Key free agents, and I won't ask you who's the most important one there, but there are a couple.
You know what? It's a combination of factors, and that's how you win. And we've got a nice mix of youth and blend. We saw Gerald Harper with the pick earlier.
Gerald Vaughn.
Gerald Vaughn.
There you go.
You think I know my own guys.
Yeah, well, you're a little nervous, and I understand.
What about this city, Eric? Because we were out today signing autographs at one of the Wendy's locations, and the response seems overwhelming. Everyone, this is a sellout, and just fantastic to have football in this city.
It really is. You know, this is a special community with always a good football town. You know, there's some problems with ownership and management that are well documented, and no question we've benefited from the success of Montreal. And I want to give a tip of the hat to Bob Wettenhall, to Larry Smith, to Jim Pop and company, because of the success that they had less than 2 hours from here certainly has helped us in terms of a blueprint and the public expecting success.
Yeah, there's no question about that, Eric. No question at all. On 2nd and long, Elon Green trapped for a moment. Escaped, but he'll come up short of the first down. Back, however, to about the original line of scrimmage.
E.T., I want to ask you about your replacement. They're coming up at halftime. Jack Climby is filled in for you. He's doing pretty good so far, isn't he?
I tell you what, that was probably the easiest transition in the history of sport.
No, you did a great job there, and you're doing a great job here. Good job, buddy.
Thanks, pal.
It took weeks and weeks to find your replacement, at least 3. McCallum on 3rd down sails his best of the night. Donnie Ashley ready to return for Ottawa. And Ashley was outstanding as a member of the Edmonton Eskimos. On return, a welcome addition to the new Ottawa Renegades. The Ottawa Renegades had the lead and a first down near the 30. Crowley, a nice maneuver here, sliding out as Aubrey Cummings, ex-Calgary Stampeder. Omar Evans was over to make the tackle
Nice
for
fake.
Saskatchewan.
Nice fake there from Dan Crowley on Terrence Milton, the newcomer.
That Riders secondary is improving all the time, intact now for the 2nd straight season, so they're happy with the progress back there.
Well, Dave, that is such a big difference for a defensive secondary. When you can play together, you take that game to the next level. Everyone knows where you're going to be.
2nd and 1, Darren Davis trapped, and there might be a face mask call coming here.
Yeah, that'll be a face mask on Colin Scrivener. There's no question. In fact, Scrivener grabbed that face mask and turned Darren Davis around, and as soon as he did it, he turned around, put his hands in the air. So he not only got the penalty, but he let everybody know in the park who
face
got it.
mask, Saskatchewan, number 72, first down.
Colin's got to either keep his hands lower or work on his acting.
You're on the hold.
Well, he surrendered there, didn't he?
Yeah, Danny Barrett has to be concerned a little bit with the penalties so far. Now, there's still a half to play, and penalties often have a way of balancing out over the course of a game.
And it's only a 6-point lead. Midfield, though, for the Renegades. Nice pump fake near side. Crowley goes deep. Montana the target. McCullough was covering. And Montana won't get the call he was hoping for.
Adolphus McCalla was covering perfectly on that play. The crowd wanted an interference call on McCalla, and they're not going to get it. The reason is McCalla, who will be to the right of your screen at the end of this play, McCalla looks back to the football. Crowley pump fakes to his left, then turns those hips around and then throws it up for Montana. You see how he turns around inside, but he's looking for the football the entire time. There was some contact. As long as you're looking for the football, you're both allowed to fight for it.
2nd and 10, Renegades. Crowley under the cover this time. This is downtown Eddie Brown, but there's a marker down back in the Ottawa backfield.
3rd down. Okay.
Little doubt. It'll be holding.
3rd down, Glenn.
Eddie Brown didn't go to the entire training camp because he doesn't have to. And I guess when you're in 13 years CFL history.
Holding, Ottawa, number 57. The penalties decline. 3rd down.
I guess when you've been around that long, your head coach can say, you know what, take the first few days off. Eddie Brown came and asked if he could come and try out.
Well, he also moved to Ottawa and waited for the CFL to come back to him because he was living in the city, out of football last year.
Well, the first thing Joe Palpal said to me with regards to Eddie Brown was he still has those jets and he still gets downtown.
He hasn't lost it. Deep for Saskatchewan is Corey Holmes.
Timeout, Saskatchewan.
And Harper set to punt.
I like this call from Danny Barrett, and it's an aggressive call to call this timeout now. Get one timeout every half, and Danny Barrett calls his timeout here. That stops anytime he gets now a chance to get a punt return called properly, because this could be lots of time for Nealon Green to move down and get some points before the half.
A minute to go, 1:01 on the clock unofficially here at Frank Clair Stadium.
See, Dylan Ching is the special teams captain, one of the captains. He runs over there, talks to Danny Barrett. They make sure they have the proper return called, possibly get some field position and maybe a drive together with a minute to go.
Alive.
Glenn Harper across for 45 to get a high kick away. Corey Holmes, the lone man back for Saskatchewan. And there are no yards markers everywhere down there.
There'll be no yards, and it'll be the 5-yard version. The ball was bouncing around on the ground. If it's no yards and the ball is caught cleanly, penalty obviously a little more substantial.
No yards. Ottawa, number 38, 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's Matt Robishov. Well, we're starting off with a bang on Wendy's Friday Night Football this season. One more to go tonight, Edmonton and Calgary. So stay with us for that. 10 o'clock Eastern time approximately, and the panel is going to spend the night in Lansdowne Park. They have sleeping bags and tents.
You know, Chris Schultz has had that sleeping bag all off season in the studio. He takes it wherever he goes. He doesn't like to leave the set.
That's Corey Holmes escaping and out to the 25.
And Nealon Green's trying to get the hurry-up offense going. Kelly Wilshire looking to the bench. He was the first pick in the expansion draft for the Ottawa Renegades, Kelly Wilshire.
Formerly with Toronto, more recently with Montreal. Nealon Green throwing on the run. Target out at the 40-yard line is Derek Armstrong. 15-yard gain.
And you got to believe that Kelly Wilshire, because he knows that with 36 seconds left, that's plenty of time to move all the way down the field for an offense.
Green on first down. Quincy Jackson, another Saskatchewan first down. Riders on the move now, trailing 13-7, another 17 yards there.
Wow, they're just over a first down now away from a field goal attempt. Wilshire again, the captain on the defense, looking for signals, trying to get a very young defense lined up properly.
Green takes his time on first down, onto the cover. He one-hop that one. Corey Holmes was the intended receiver.
Michael Barreau went on a little bit of a stunt. Number 92 for Ottawa. Forced Nealon Green to throw that one a little bit low and into the turf, but they certainly like this guy. 265-pound second-round pick from the Vikings in 2000. Joe Paopao grabbed him up in a hurry, signed him as a free agent. You can see, though, first CFL game, he's getting a little bit tired. Only 20 seconds between plays in the Canadian Football League, not 40 last.
Yeah, that and a little more running at times out there as well. Little problem with the timing here at Frank Clark Stadium.
Well, we'll allow that in game 1 after 6 years. And they want to be accurate. They put .3 on the clock.
And I think they should stick to those details here in Ottawa.
Well, they have.
Nealon Green.
Oh, baby.
Oh, it was close. Quincy Jackson was the target.
Now that's a very nice stand from a young Ottawa defense. You see the frustration starting to creep into Danny Barrett's eyes. Well, you can't really see his eyes, but into his face.
I knew what you were trying to say.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because that's a little momentum they had. One more first down, they're in field goal range, but Ottawa defense stood up tall.
Barrett is on the sunny south side of the stadium here. Too deep for the Renegades, back near the 10-yard line. McCallum with 11 seconds on the clock. Puts this one airborne. Ashley has a difficult time handling it, and he'll be dropped in his tracks at about the 7. Tyson St. James leading the tacklers for Saskatchewan.
They'll have to run one more play, but Dan Crowley will just kneel down, and the Ottawa Renegades will go in at halftime with a 13-7 lead. Exactly what Joe Paopao wanted. I think, you know, he's got to be very, very happy with the play of his team, because you don't know. 39 guys all arrive in training camp, and about 2.5 weeks later, you're playing your first football game. You have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, you look on paper, and you have to give the Renegades credit for what they have put together with the number of veterans that they have assembled and high-class football players that they've got on this team. But as you say, it takes a little while to build a football team. What we've seen here in the opening half is a very nice beginning for the new franchise.
Saskatchewan has to worry about getting frustrated at this point.
Roughriders are down by 6. The Renegades head to the dressing room with the lead, and we're ready for halftime. Here's Dave and the gang.
Thank you very much, John Wells. Welcome to Wendy's at the half, which is appropriate because I kind of feel like I am working at Wendy's in the drive-thru with this thing going on.
That's beautiful.
I know.
Yeah, there's lots to talk about. 13-7 Ottawa with the lead at the half. One of the things we'd like to talk about, Matt, is a gamble that Joe Paopao made. He punted instead of kicking a field goal right behind us here.
That's right, Dave. And I'm not sure so much as a gamble, but a very calculated move by Joe Paopao. He understands his young kicker's psyche, so he doesn't go to Dimitri Skorish right away. He goes to his veteran, Glenn Harper, and they pin them back deep into Rider territory, and they come up with a big team play 2 plays later. Great defensive team play in the first half by this Ottawa Renegade football team, and it worked for him there, Jock.
Absolutely right, and I believe the Renegades are in this game for 2 reasons: the play of the offensive line and the defensive line. I want to talk about a couple of plays that set up Ottawa's touchdown. First of all, John Grace ducks inside a kick-out block by the pulling tackle to hit the tailback in the backfield for a loss of 2. That sets up this play, where Penny Talamaveo is coming off the block. Nealon Green's in the shotgun right here, and he's setting up the quarterback sneak, and Talamaveo sheds his block, knocks the ball free, and they recover it. I heard coming into this ball game and talking to Tillman and other people in the Renegades organization, their front 7 was excellent, and they proved it there.
Well, you know, Chuck, you talked about some of the possibilities and why this team, the Renegades, have 13 points, and you got to look at Nealon Green. The first 3 points were a legitimate drive by the Renegades, but the next 3, the 7 was a mistake by Green. The 3 after that was the interception by Green. Nealon Green has to stop making the mistakes and start making big plays. The great quarterbacks can do both. They avoid the mistakes and they make plays. More important in the second half, priority 1 for Green, avoid those mistakes.
It's a good night here in Ottawa, and you know, at Frank Clair Stadium, they've got this rivalry between the south side bleachers and the north side. Now, technically, we are on the north side, and they're shouting at us that the north side sucks.
I know.
I don't know if I like that.
We're going to shout back in a minute.
13-7 Renegades.
This day in the CFL, brought to you by SportCheck.ca, Canada's choice for sports.
June 28, 1994, the Shreveport Pirates, remember them, in Toronto, taking on the Argonauts. First quarter action, Mike Kerrigan hands off to Dwayne Ford, who goes 11 yards for the major. Boatman up by 14. Second half now, Kerrigan looks for Paul Mazzotti in the end zone, 23-yard strike. Toronto goes on to beat the Pirates 24-1. Shreveport finished the year at 3-15. I need to see it. 2 other games in the CFL tonight. One of them is going to be in Winnipeg. They're just about to start. It's the Toronto Argonauts taking on the former East Division champs, who are now in the West. And the other game is the second game of our doubleheader tonight here on Wendy's Friday Night Football. Oh, just a little game between Edmonton and Calgary, a rematch of the Western Final from last season, which, by the way, of course, was a nightmare for the Edmonton Eskimos. The Eskimos, well, a couple of former Eskimo quarterbacks are in this game, Nealon Green and Dan Crowley, because the job now belongs to Jason Moss. He's got a lot of weapons, and they proved last season they can put some points on the board. And that's something that the Eskimos want to see happen tonight against the Stamps.
We'd like to be able to think we can stretch them and run inside, try to get John Avery on the outside, and then maybe do some special things with Terry Vaughn. We can sprint our quarterback out and try to get him the ball. He's tremendously difficult to bring down anytime you get the ball into his hands, but we think we also have receivers that can stretch the defense deep.
You know, our receiving core, I think, is young, but I think in time will be athletic. Our defensive line, like I say, is a question mark, and I think a lot of the questions will be answered after this game.
Well, whether they're rebuilding or not, they are the defending Grey Cup champs, but a lot of people like Edmonton in the West this year, Matty.
Well, Dave, it is the biggest rivalry in the Canadian Football League history. I've been there 5 years, and I know that this game was marked down on both these teams' calendar as soon as the schedule came out. Tom Higgins is talking about stretching the defense of Calgary. Well, they didn't have any problem during the preseason. They've got the right quarterback behind the center to do just that, and I know that Wally Buono wants his defense to shore it up a little bit there, Jock.
Well, he's got to contend with a very high-powered, high-octane offense, and it starts with Jason Moss, obviously, but he's got a lot of weapons at his disposal. I want to talk about the offensive backfield. John Avery, Ronald Williams, two excellent backs. It would be exciting to watch. That receiving core has the potential to be the best receiving core in the league, in my opinion. You got Terry Vaughn. You got a new receiver in Chris Brazel. You've got Ed Hervey, one of the fastest receivers in the league. They're going to be really exciting to watch, Chris.
Well, I like your point about the defense for the Calgary Stampeders, because as much as they want to win this game, the secondary goal is to find some defensive linemen. All they have back is Jeff Traversy. Traversy's good, but he's not a quick escape guy. The thing is, if your defensive line is not performing, you have a trickle-down effect. Because of the running game, that affects the play-action passes, and the linebackers get more concerned about staying close to the line of scrimmage, puts more pressure on your defensive backs. Yes, Calgary has to win this game, but they got to find some defensive linemen, because great defensive football is levels, defensive line, linebackers, and also the secondary, all coordinated, all working together, starting with the defensive line, David.
Yeah, Joe Fleming gone, Ray Jacobs gone. He's played in this game for Saskatchewan. You know, we're thrilled that you're sitting at home watching us on TV tonight, but you got to get yourself out to see some CFL action live.
Right
and
here.
If you want to do that, here are the numbers to call, beginning in the East and in the West. It's 13-7 Ottawa. The Renegades, in their first ever game in franchise history, have the lead at the half. You're watching Wendy's Friday Night Football. Earlier tonight, we saw the Snowbirds as they buzzed right over top Frank Clair Stadium moments ago. Schulte said, you know, I would just never jump out of a perfectly good airplane, but he hit the 50-yard line bang on.
Not if it's perfectly good. Why? Hey, this second half, this is it for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They got to score first, because if Ottawa scores first, it's 20-7. Then the crowd's going to get into it, and momentum will be the key, and that'll be on the Renegade side, Matty.
Well, Chris, momentum was changed twice in that first half there, and both of them were about turnovers. Glenn Harper put one down on the ground. A few plays later, Saskatchewan goes in for a score. And then what happens? You get a punt inside the backed-up territory. Riders, they put the ball on the ground. Ottawa takes advantage. Turnovers are a key in the second half, Jock.
Absolutely, and that ties into what Joe Palpao wanted to do tonight, and that was to make sure that Dan Crowley wasn't asked to do too much. They need to continue to allow him to use all his weapons. Don't put the game on his shoulders. Let him play a controlled, steady football game using draws and screens and short passes, and allow the defense to win the game for him.
We said at the top of the show, this one had the feel of what could be a very special night for either team, and it looks like it's going to be one of those games that's decided in late moments in the fourth quarter, so stick around. Should be a great second half on Wendy's Friday Night Football.
We're making a little history in Ottawa tonight with the rebirth of CFL football. The Renegades have the lead as the second half begins. Donnie Ashley returning for Ottawa out across the 25. Here are the halftime stats for Moores. What did you spot?
Well, you look at that rushing yards. 51 came in the second quarter. If you have 2 turnovers, guess what you're going to give up? Points. 2 turnovers turns into 10 points for the Renegades.
Halftime stats brought to you by Moores Clothing for Men. Well made, well priced, well dressed. Ottawa possession to begin the second half. Here the 25, Darren Davis. He's had a great beginning as a Renegade. He's out to about the 35. Terrence Melton made the tackle. Another Rough Rider newcomer.
Well, that's why I circled that rushing yardage statistic. for the Renegades, and that's when Darren Davis comes into it, because in the first quarter they had less than 20 yards rushing. Changed that, got Darren Davis involved in the second quarter, and that gave balance to that offense.
7 carries for Davis. Over 40 yards. Here's Mark Nora on 2nd down and 3.
I'm not sure if he made it.
I don't think he did.
Pretty good contact up in the middle there. And that front 4, I believe Nate Davis led the charge. Big defensive lineman. He's over 300 pounds.
Renegades are a yard shy.
Nate Davis with 3 sacks in 13 games last year. He joined the team during the season, and this is his first full training camp. He has improved immensely because of it.
Interesting call here. Inside the 35-yard line. Renegades are going. And
come on.
Lucky.
Oh, no.
That's what home openers are for, to get a break or two, as Darren Davis was stopped initially and then got the first down to move the chains.
John, those are the plays where a general manager looks at a trade and says, boy, that was a great trade to make to get Darren Davis here. He is caught by Ray Jacobs in the backfield right there. One hand down. The great balance we talked about in the first quarter, and he picks it up on his own. That was a 4-yard loss if Ray Jacobs can hang on.
Turns it into a 4-yard gain. And a first down for the Renegades out at the 40 now. Ottawa leading by 6. Crowley one-hop that for Danny Montana.
Darren Davis in his first game as a Renegade, closing in on double figures in the carries department and about halfway towards his 100 yards. Of course, he had over 1,200 last year.
He was a Western All-Star as a member of the green and white Saskatchewan Roughriders. Second and 10. Crowley has looked poised, and he had Eddie Brown wide open there, number 4.
Saskatchewan Roughriders showing blitz defensively and actually coming with blitz. Usually when you show blitz, it's just to disguise the coverage and drop out. Not this time for Richie Hall, the defensive coordinator for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. They show blitz and come with it. That forces Crowley to get that ball out of there. Richie Hall, who's at the far right here, Richie Hall makes the call. Go up there, show it, don't hide anything. Let's go after him, try and force a quick throw. He gets it done.
Corey Holmes.
And go!
Awaits Harper's high punt, sailing down at the 25. Holmes slipping as he gets to the 35. 10 on the return, 44 on the punt. It's the second half at Frank Clair Stadium. Happy to be here. Back at Frank Clair Stadium, where the Ottawa Renegades are making their home debut. And here's how the quarterbacks stack up. These two guys were partners in Edmonton not that long ago.
Well, overall yardage, and when you look at the stats, are pretty close. The only difference is the one interception from Nealon Green. And again, we showed you that Ottawa Renegades have scored 10 points off turnovers and protect that football. Dan Crowley's been able to do it so far. Nealon Green has the one interception and the one fumble.
And Crowley has the one touchdown. A 1-yard plunge in the first half. Green goes deep, has his man, and overthrew him. Derek Armstrong was about a yard behind the ball.
Look at the first half when the Riders had the ball. 5 times they had to punt it away. Turned it over twice. Talked about the interception and the fumble. And just the one touchdown. Just have the 7 points on the board right now. So it's Ottawa defense, which is very young. When you think of the front 4.
Ottawa number 25, first down.
Front 4 defensive linemen playing in their first game in Canadian football. There's Ricky Bell. Comes over from the Calgary Stampeders. He was part of the expansion draft for Ottawa. He gets the penalty.
Illegal contact against Bell. Saskatchewan 1st and 10 at the 45. The newcomer Shaw, Cedric Shaw. An exciting addition to the Saskatchewan Roughrider team. And Gerald Vaughn, longtime CFL veteran, and a little tough contact in there for one of the officials.
Yeah, you have to get out of the way if you're in that box. It's called the box. It's right in here. It's that box right there. If you're in there, and that includes the officials, you better look out. Oh my goodness! Watch out! Well,
he knew it was coming.
And then a shot to the ribs, and you know that's one tough official to be able to get up after all of that.
Bill Hagan's number 24. Caught in the middle of it down there. Second and a couple to go.
Well, this will be close, John, because the first down marker is over the center field line.
That was Chris Zarka carrying.
Depends on where the mark of the ball is.
Yeah.
They're going to put it shy of center field, so bring up third down, and really the first decision for Danny Baird in this game.
Right near midfield.
The first one, they were closer, a lot closer when he went on third down. That was only a few inches. This is a long yard.
This is a long yard. Not the longest yard, but it's a long yard. Riders go gambling.
Oh, the big man.
Zarka.
Sure.
He's got the first down. He's got the first.
Chris Zarka in training camp came in. I went on a training camp tour and visited with all the camps. And I went up to Chris Zarka and had a nice conversation with him. And I said to him, you look like you could be playing linebacker, right tackle, or fullback. He said, I put on 15 solid pounds. We spent a lot of time in the gym lifting weights in the offseason, and this guy was great last year. He'll be even better this year because of all that strength.
That's a little different than the 15 pounds we put on in the offseason.
No, that's broadcaster weight. That's a little bit different, buddy.
Nealon Green running for his life. Dave Thomas, number 58, ran him down after a gain of 4.
Holding, number 60.
Yeah, they got holding too.
Well, that's Dave Thomas that's trying to shadow Nealon Green. He just got an up-close look at how quick Nealon Green can be.
Holding, Saskatchewan, number 60. Repeat first down.
See Thomas to the right of your screen. He's in charge of trying to track him. Here he comes right there, and he says, whoa. Nealon Green has another 5 yards on that sideline. I missed the angle. Green is like a running back when he gets in the open field.
Gene McCoskey.
That will come back because of that penalty.
Playing in his 109th game as a Rough Rider tonight. He is the veteran on this team at this point. Longest serving Rough Rider.
No, that's going nowhere. See, here's what happens. Here's what happens when Dave Thomas has the freedom at middle linebacker to spy the quarterback. If the play is bang in line with the quarterback, he sees it clearly. Dave Thomas is right here. His idea now is to look at this guy right here. But watch, the play's going to develop right in front of him. As the play develops, there's a screen pass. He sees it clearly, can step up, and no way Cedric Shaw has anywhere to go.
Dave Thomas out of Austin Peay University.
Played a lot of football himself. Has played over in NFL Europe, Barcelona.
Nealon Green couldn't find the open target over the middle. That was Bendras.
You know,
and so the Riders are struggling a little bit here, Glenn. It's a close ball game, but Saskatchewan really didn't look effective on that last sequence at all.
Dave Thomas has been a big part, and this is watch Dave Thomas slide out. He has not made a mistake defensively. He was just to the left of your screen there. He slides out in perfect coverage, creates the defense that he wants, and that ball is overthrown. This is a guy playing in his first game in the CFL, and Dave Thomas has not made a mistake in this game that I could see.
Paul McCallum, number 4, standing back at the Saskatchewan 30.
Let's go.
Eddie Brown ready for Ottawa and begins near the 20. Away from Zarka, flags go down, and so does Brown. Near the 27, 14 on the return. Pow and the Renegades have the lead in Ottawa. Dan Crowley and the Ottawa Renegades have the lead. Halfway through the third quarter, it's precarious at best, however, at 13-7.
Oh, the game is definitely Anyone's for the taking. Dan Crowley, though, is some nice balance in his offense so far.
On first down, Crowley goes to the far side. Ashley had it, dropped it. They rule it dead. Let's bring in Brent Wallace with the happiest guy in Ottawa tonight.
You're absolutely right. Thanks very much, John. They just said you're probably the happiest guy in Ottawa. Is that a fair statement? Is this everything you envisioned when you took it over?
Yeah, it's a big night. You know, we hope we'd get a big crowd. We did, and they're having a lot of fun, and that's what it's all about.
What about just what you've seen? How much better can it be for you guys that now that you have the 2004 Grey Cup coming up, you're almost ready to Pierce?
Well, now, yeah, we're ready for it. We're ready to go. But we, you know, this is what football is all about for us. We had to start. We've got 9 more games to play, and we're a team in the league now. So hopefully the novelty doesn't wear off.
What about this Beaver Lodge everybody keeps talking about? That's your idea, I hear.
Yeah, it's a 350-seat bar. I don't think we're going to fit any more people into it. We're going to put 450 next game, but people are having a great time. They catch the balls and have a couple beers, so that's what football's all about. So I think it'll be sold out for a few games to come.
Thanks very much, Brad. I appreciate you bringing football back to the CFL.
Thank you. It's a great success, and TSN's a big part of it.
There is the Beaver Lodge.
Yeah, and you know, maybe the biggest difference between Brad Waters and previous owners, you see that?
Well, I was just trying. I thought you were going to mention
Beaver
the
had a beer there.
Yeah.
You know, the difference between Brad Waters and previous owners is that Brad Waters is hands-on. Yesterday afternoon, he was out there with hammer and nails, pounding in the finishing touches of the Beaver Lodge to make sure it was ready for tonight. He was out there pounding away, and he got the power saw out. And here's the owner of the club. And you know, that's hands-on, and that's letting the fans see you. He sits up in the stands during games, and boy, they've got people excited here.
Now, Horn Chen didn't spend a lot of time at Home Depot, did he?
No,
Lonnie Gleberman. Donnie Ashley got close to a first down, and the Renegades take it the rest of the way. Darren Davis has the call, and Jacob says no.
Well, I think
Renegades think they have it.
Darren Davis' forward progress is going to get him first down territory.
Big gamble
by
Ottawa.
John, it was a gamble in 2 ways. One, it's third down, and that in your own end is always a gamble. But number 2, it looked to me to only be about 6 inches, and the play that was called was to turn around and hand it deep to Darren Davis.
They took it deep.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gamble, but he got it.
Well, Davis also stumbled on a third down gamble and got it earlier. So the Renegades have had a little bit of luck and 10 points off turnovers. Here's Mark Nora. Off tackle right. 666 yards as an Eskimo last year.
Well, and
in 16 games.
He looked at what the Edmonton Eskimos had in the backfield going into this year and decided, you know what, I could probably play more somewhere else. Signed as a free agent here in Ottawa when he saw that Ron Williams, John Avery, and at that time, Darren Davis was an Eskimo. So signs over here, and he's going to work with Davis in the end, and it's a nice combination. Power guy,
style back.
Yeah, power guy and guy with great moves.
Second down. Crowley far side. Marker is down on 2nd and 8.
Don't do it. Don't do it.
Eddie Brown.
Don't do it.
The intended receiver.
Eddie Brown had a couple of drops, and it's going to take Eddie Brown a game or two to get that game speed back in him.
Offside.
He hasn't played for a while.
Saskatchewan, number 50. Repeat second down.
That's Ray Jacobs.
Number.
Played a little in the Arena League, but Eddie Brown's played on almost every team in the Canadian Football League. It's been a while since he's been out there on the wide open field and dropped a couple, but it won't be long before Eddie Brown is back on his game.
Dennis Montana flanks to the near side, but Crowley goes the other way. And Nora couldn't bring it down.
Yeah, and John, in Saskatchewan, this is why they like Reggie Hunt.
Incomplete.
Reggie Hunt flew over there in coverage on Mark Nora, and he was right there when the ball arrived. We talked about Richie Hall saying to me before the game that this guy had probably a little bit better quickness than George White, and that's saying something, because you're going to see number 9 just fly out here. This is a play that got them the first down. That was just right up to about inches away.
Cards live.
Harper is in on 3rd down Ottawa. Corey Holmes awaits. Nice hang time on this, but it's not deep. Holmes draws a flag.
Yeah.
On the pursuit by the Renegades. 3 on the return, 35 on the punt. It's Wendy's Friday Night Football, and we're back in Ottawa. Happy day. 2 penalties here, 1 going each way. Here's Harper punting.
Going to be a contacting the kicker penalty there, and then there's a penalty down at the other end. That's an automatic first down normally. However, if you have the 2 penalties, you add them all up, and what will happen will Ottawa will just have to punt the football again. Turned out to be a net of about a 5-yard loss for the Renegades. So Danny Barrett dodged the bullet there on a roughing the kicker call.
3, 6, 9, 12.
Julian Duncan contacting the kicker.
Yeah, he's changed numbers here, so he must have ripped his jersey.
We're live. Let him go. Don't do it.
Corey Holmes again. Saskatchewan will get good field position with a short kick and a nice return to about midfield. Following the game, the TSN Turning Point, brought to you by Super 8. Roughriders right at midfield. First down. Excellent chance for Nealon Green to get back to even in this game. Green run out of bounds, far side by Clinton Wayne. You know, everyone's excited about football coming back to Ottawa, and we're happy to say that our telecast tonight is on the CTV station here in Ottawa, CJOH. For many years, a supporter of the Roughriders and a leader in sports in this community. So we're being seen all through the Ottawa Valley as well as all over the city here tonight.
Well, it's sort of a proud moment for the fans of Ottawa who deserved a team back for quite some time. They finally have one because they were never the problem here.
Not the fans. Not at all. Here's Green looking to escape again. He will. He'll have the first down. Nealon Green still going, sliding at the 20. And that's the biggest play of the night for the Saskatchewan Roughriders.
Keaton Cromartie's going to add some yardage on for Saskatchewan. He's a newcomer, backup defensive lineman. And Cromartie is going to get a late hit. When the quarterback slides feet first, he is out of bounds.
Major foul. Unnecessary roughness. Ottawa number 56. First down.
Keaton Cromartie from Tulane.
And it's not just whether or not your helmet leads in this situation. When Nealon Green takes off running, as soon as he slides feet first and any part of either his hand or his feet touch the ground, he is off limits. Cromartie hit him late, and they're down in 10-yard line.
Green had a 20-yard run in the first half. That one covered 30 yards, and Saskatchewan with a chance here just outside the 10-yard line. Momentum shifting a bit. There's the touchdown toss. He's got it. Ben Ross. And a flag is down, but Ben Ross did make the catch in the end zone.
Demetrius Bendros got inside position and took off.
Outside. Ottawa. Penalties decline. Touchdown.
It's going to be offside on Ottawa, so obviously decline, and it's a touchdown for the Riders.
We'll give Nealon Green a great deal of credit for this.
Demetrius Bendros is going to be to the left of your screen here. Quick drop from Nealon Green. Takes 3 steps, and Bendros is open. Donovan Carter, the free safety, takes a real shallow drop. In other words, he doesn't get much depth, so he doesn't give Vernon Mitchell much help.
Nealon Green, the touchdown toss to Demetrius Bendros. It's set up on a 30-yard run by the quarterback himself. Saskatchewan back on top. It's a 1-pointer on the first touchdown toss to Bendros.
Hi, I'm Corporal Clarence Stillman. We're serving with the Forward Support Group here in sunny Kandahar, Afghanistan. We want to say thanks to all the Canes back home and happy birthday, Canada.
Happy birthday, Canada!
What's up, Regina?
It's great to hear from our soldiers around the world on duty, and particularly on a weekend like this when we celebrate Canada's birthday.
Yeah, it really is. I mentioned that how proud the fans are here to have football back, and boy, is everyone in this country so proud of our guys in the military.
Wonderful to be in the nation's capital. Here's Donnie Ashley, an ex-Eskimo who's had a pretty nice night, but he ran into a wall of green and white right at the 30-yard line, and it's a 10-yard return. Nikiasen actually making the tackle there.
Might be a bit of a trend being created here by Saskatchewan. When this happens, usually the TD happens and the points go on the board, and that's Nealon Green running with the football. Ran earlier, remember that one drive?
20-yard.
Took off, he was over 20-yard run, and then that ended up in a touchdown. This time he takes off and running, ends up in a Demetrius Bendros touchdown.
And that was a 30-yard run by Green. His strength is his ability to run the football. Crowley with a nice fake here. Aubrey Cummings was the target, and Cummings couldn't bring it home.
You know, that's maybe one instance where Dan Crowley could have taken about a 7 or an 8 yard gain if he drops it off there to Mark Nora. Instead, he wanted to turn back and go to Aubrey Cummings and maybe try and get more than he had available to him. We always hear about quarterbacks just taking what they give you. He turns his shoulder and goes all the way back into the middle. That's a tougher throw. And if you take a look, Aubrey Cummings has a long way to go all the way across the field to get there, and there's some traffic. If he dumps that ball to Nora, he's got a 7-yard gain.
Jason Mallett was covering there. Pally looking for Montana, far side, and there was a mix-up there. So it's 2 and out for the Renegades after the Roughriders came back to take a 1-point lead on the Bendros touchdown.
Defensive coordinator Richie Hall starting to gamble a little bit. He's going to come with the blitz. You're going to come see from the left of your screen right there is Eddie Davis, a defensive back. See the pressure? He's unblocked. No one is designated to block Eddie Davis, and that forces Dan Crowley to get that ball out of there in a hurry. The result is an incompletion. So Richie Hall starting to gamble a little bit with his defensive calls.
Harper had a little trouble handling that. This is Holmes returning for Saskatchewan. Nice cut there. Spins for another 4 out to the 45. Nice return of 12 after a 48-yard punt.
You know, and right now Saskatchewan grabbing that momentum. They've been playing the second half in Ottawa's end of the field. You can see Danny Barrett always so close to Nealon Green. Had that big run. He's probably telling him, hey, it's not broken. Why try and fix it? Why don't you just take off, do that again, throw a touchdown pass? We'll get way up in this game.
Right now it's a 1-point lead for the Roughriders. Less than 2 minutes to go, third quarter. Saskatchewan 1st and 10. Shy of the 45. Zarka breaks one. This is Chris Zarka. He could go all the way down to the 5-yard line and stop there. No flags. Oh, hang on, one back at the 40.
Yeah, there is. And it happened right as Zarka was hitting the line of scrimmage, which would indicate a holding call. Well, there's the reaction from the crowd, and that's exactly what it's going to be.
Holding. Saskatchewan, number 57. Big first down.
What might have been a 63-yard run by Chris Zarka.
Andrew Moore gets the holding call. He is right here, the center, after the snap of the ball. Right there, pulls those shoulder pads. Offensive lineman, and Chris Schultz will tell you this, you keep your hands inside on the chest plates of the shoulder pads. That's right there, that's the chest plate. You keep your hands in there, that's okay. You get your hands outside on the shoulder pad area, and you're gonna get caught. And that brought back, obviously, a huge gain from Chris Zarka.
Well, it's a net loss of 73.
Wow.
Riders on top after trailing at halftime. It's Saskatchewan leading 14-13. First down, Riders at the 35. 3 receivers far side, and that's the direction Nealon Green heads. Looking deep, has Bendros, and Bendros can't stay in bounds, but he has a huge gain down near the 30.
Well, that was the first big mistake from this Ottawa Renegade secondary, because Donovan Carter was the closest Renegade defensive back to that play, and there's no way one of these two defensive backs, Donald Ruiz, probably right here, has to get back deep. They both jump up in short coverage, and that leaves Donovan Carter. Watch them both settle their feet. There goes Bendros right by him. That's two guys in the same area. Two guys in the same area is wrong. Here comes Carter, and he's got too far to try and catch up to Bendros.
A 45-yard gain. Cedric Schaub has more for the Saskatchewan drive, and it was Gerald Vaughn over to make the tackle.
Every game, John, comes down to one or two big plays, and when you were looking at the situation Saskatchewan was in there, which was what, 1st and 30? What was it? First and, I don't recall, but it was a bunch. And you can't ask Donovan Carter to cover that much ground. There was a mistake there made by his corner.
Interesting, the Riders bounce right back after losing that 73 yards on the Zarka run called back. With a 45-yard gain to Bendros. Cedric Shaw, the rookie runner for the Roughriders. An exciting addition.
You get the sense in the second half that Nealon Green is starting to settle in a little bit. Recognized the broken coverage on the last play and found Bendros running at the right time and involving his running back.
What's the biggest play of this game for Saskatchewan? That 30-yard run by Green? I mean, the touchdown follows it almost immediately, but the 30-yard run really set it up and had the Renegades back on their heels a bit.
Well, again, I think probably if you were to go 3 plays, it would be the 2 runs by Green and that 1 pass to Bendros got him out of a whole bunch of hurt.
Well, and the touchdown, obviously, to Bendros is a huge play when you get the 6.
Watch out.
Here's Green.
Look at him go.
Looks to escape again. He's smooth, isn't he? No one home in the corner down there.
I threw it away. Really amazing what Nealon Green just did to buy some time and see if he could get an open receiver.
And that is the final play of the 3rd quarter. The Roughriders have roared back to lead the Renegades 14-13. Here are the boys. You're on.
Thanks, Wellesley. Yes, we are down here on the field in what is a very tight ball game at Frank Clair Stadium. An interesting final few moments in that 3rd quarter, but the only touchdown remains the pass from Green to Demetrius Bendros, and Saskatchewan has the 1-point lead after showing some nice patience against the Renegades, Matty.
That's right, Dave, and I had a chance to talk to Eric Tillman at the half, and Eric said that his team is going to come out and they feel like they can pound the football against Saskatchewan. And what that means is going to play small ball and be very patient. Well, it kind of backfired on the Riders, or on the Renegades. Why? Because Saskatchewan hung in there, took advantage of some field position. Then we saw Nealon Green with his athletic ability take a 30-yard run, set his team up for their score, and now Nealon has taken over this game in the last section there, Chris.
Well, Matty, you know, I agree with what Glenn Suter's saying. I think right now Nealon Green is in the groove of the game. He had his best quarter in the 3rd quarter, but so has Dan Crowley. He's managed the game pretty well. He's avoided some turnovers, and he's made some plays on his own. You watch this. This is a sign of an experienced quarterback. He gets a blitz right up the middle. He does not panic. He waits for the receiver, throws across his body, and he throws it with accuracy. To me right now, the quarterback that plays the best football is going to win this 4th quarter and win the game. Jock.
Schultz, I agree with you. But, you know, I think Ottawa might be falling into a bit of a trap here. You know, coming into this game, they actually decided in the preseason to only run about 6 or 7 offensive plays. That helps with the element of surprise, of course. Coming into the first game of the year, Saskatchewan doesn't know what they're going to run. However, that also has a negative side, and that is that your offense has not had an opportunity to rep its full package. And I think that is starting to show here, especially in the 3rd quarter. They're not making many mistakes, but at the same time, they're not making any big plays with those plays.
The last time the Roughriders played the Roughriders was way back in '96. It was in Regina. Ottawa won by 2. That was a close one.
Yeah.
And obviously this one's going to be a close one as well. At least it looks that way, Wellesley.
Well, I think you're right if you look at the scoreboard right now.
Boys on the road, and Matt Dunnigan, you mentioned him talking about small ball. Does that mean that Dave Randorf can play?
Oh.
Well, I thought I'd get it started
the season opener. Here's McCallum lining up. It'll be spotted at the 23, and no mistake for Paul McCallum as Saskatchewan celebrates more points to begin the fourth quarter. He's a veteran. He's all smiles. He's Paul McCallum, and football is back in Ottawa on this Canada Day weekend. Welcome back to Lansdowne Park and Frank Clair Stadium here on the banks of the Rideau Canal in the nation's capital. The Ottawa Renegades had the lead at halftime. Saskatchewan has bounced back to lead it by 4 at 17-13 with a quarter to go. Ottawa 1st and 10 at the 35 after the McCallum field goal. And Darren Davis, the ex-Rough Rider, gets close to a first down. He's about a yard shy.
The running game has been very important for both teams. We talked about the importance of it in the second quarter for Joe Powell and the Renegades. Then in that third quarter, it was the Saskatchewan Roughriders, largely through the play of Nealon Green, that got the running game going because he was doing a lot of running. So it provides that balance, and it's working well for both teams. You see Darren Davis ripping off 8 yards, 9 yards.
Yeah, it's 9 yards. This will be second down. And 1 at the 49. Davis again. He'll have the first down. Western All-Star last year. And here are the numbers as they stack up so far.
We talked about there's the Green rushing yards down there at the bottom. And you can see the Green at 59 yards rushing. 61 yards rushing as a team for the Roughriders in the third quarter alone.
Renegades at the 41, 1st and 10. Crowley to his right. Thought about the run and grabs a few.
See, and Omar Evans did not get a penalty on that play because Dan Crowley slid and dove head first rather than sliding feet first.
Well, he did the Dunnigan there.
Yeah.
Dunnigan didn't slide very often feet first, did he?
No, he never slid at all. He was going after you. There's Evans, number 2, right at the bottom of your screen. And the difference being as he flies out to the zone defense, he's going to go up. He's allowed to do this within the rules as long as Crowley goes head first.
Gain of 6. This is 2nd and 4 Ottawa. Davis again. This guy is having a night against his former teammates from Saskatchewan.
Well, and it's a great luxury for a head coach when on 2nd and 4 you can go to a running play in the Canadian Football League. That's almost passing territory. 2nd and 4 or more, you're starting to think throw all the way. And that time, Joe Powell had the option to go to Darren Davis on 4 yards to go for the first down. So that's confidence in your running back.
12th carry, and he's over 70 yards. Crowley.
Oh, boy.
Oliver was the intended receiver, and that was not a well-developed play by Ottawa.
Well, Val St. Germain was trying to get out there, but that, you're right, just didn't have the timing it needed. And usually when Darren Davis is touching the ball, the timing's been okay. 12 carries, 71 yards. And when Eric Tillman looked at what Darren Davis did a year ago, he knew he had something special.
Well, he was a Western All-Star in 2001, 1,243 yards rushing. Second and 10, and Davis again.
Oh, what a move. What
a move. First down, and a penalty flag flies. Mitchell was in on the tackle, Jackie Mitchell. 11 yards to gain. And I think it's against Saskatchewan.
What a move Darren Davis made in the open field.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness. Saskatchewan 92. First down.
Sheldon Napusta gets the penalty. But watch the move in the open field by Darren Davis. He's going to break through the line, and he is going to absolutely freeze. I'm not sure who it was. Hunt was one. Look at this move. Another one back to the outside. Travis Smith went down. He almost broke his spat. The spat is the tape that goes around the shoe.
Oh, I know.
John, yeah. Well, actually, you've got your shoe spatted up right now for game 1 in the regular season. I hear you, buddy.
Have to spat up the loafers.
What a move by Darren Davis.
Renegades continue the drive. Corner roots. Touchdown time. Jimmy Oliver has a touchdown for the Renegades. An 18-yard strike, Glenn.
Jimmy Oliver didn't do anything fancy on the play. He just outran the angle of Eddie Davis.
Dimitri Skouras adds to the Renegade total. Here's the touchdown one more time. 18 yards. Oliver in the end zone. This is a call you don't want to answer if you're a defensive back.
No, you do not. And Eddie Davis had the wrong angle. A bit of a tandem play between Eddie Brown and Jimmy Oliver, who comes up with the touchdown. Eddie Brown gets the assist. Jimmy Oliver gets the points.
And for Eddie Davis, that was not a wrong number. That was...
No, that was Richie Hall.
Rider headquarters upstairs. This is Holmes on the return. One more time for Saskatchewan. He's played well.
Well, John,
first game.
John, there's really 2 parts to this play. First of all, Jimmy Oliver gets help from Eddie Brown. Here comes the assist, because Eddie Brown goes here and holds Omar Morgan. Now watch this, how the play develops. Eddie Davis is to the right of your screen, and if you let that go, hold it right there, guys. See, Eddie Davis needs to get that kind of depth. He gets a little bit shallow here, and that 1.5 yards is the difference as the ball sails over his right shoulder and into the hands of Jimmy Oliver.
So how about this, folks? 10:35 to go. The home team's first game, and the home team is winning 20-17. Saskatchewan first and 10. Nealon Green has had a wonderful night. Pump fake there. No one home.
They're going to want a penalty. Saskatchewan's going to want a penalty there.
Armstrong was the intended receiver.
Well, Derek Armstrong was working on Donald Ruiz, and Donald Ruiz came up and really jammed him at the line of scrimmage, but he did it legally. Armstrong wanted to try and get in behind him, and Ruiz just didn't let him go. And Danny Barrett has nothing to panic about with 10 minutes left in a 3-point ball game.
Second and 10 for Nealon Green. He escaped again away from Wilshire. And here's Green, the thoroughbred he is, inside Ottawa territory, still standing. And he's down to the 35. What a brilliant run by Nealon Green. And flags fly after that.
Flags after the play. Kelly Wilshire gambled on an inside rush lane, and when he missed the tackle in the backfield, Nealon Green was off and running.
Running for 47 yards.
Major foul, unnecessary roughness, Saskatchewan, number 6. After the play, first down.
Well, it's after the play, so the yardage comes after the fact. Watch Kelly Wilshire, number 1, right there in your screen. He takes an inside rush lane, and if he misses here, it's over. He misses. Green's out to the outside, and he's got plenty of room to go. They lose 15 yards on the play. However, they pick up a bunch.
Well, they had 47 minus 15. You'll figure that out and let me know.
22.
There you go. Nealon Green, 5 carries, 106 tonight. Cedric Shaw.
Hey.
Tough to run against this Ottawa front four.
Partner, you think they're getting some entertainment in game 1 here in Ottawa?
I would say it's a fun evening.
Oh, boy.
Down in the Beaver Lodge. In the end zone to our right.
You could sit almost anywhere tonight, and you're enjoying a great football game. There's the Beaver Lodge right there. That's the whole thing. It goes from corner to corner. And Chris Schultz, beginning of the game, said he might want to build one by the time they're done tonight in the other end zone as well. So popular.
Well, he's hoping to get the concession in the other end zone before he starts construction. Flags down, and this play is dead.
Oh, and, you know, the Renegades are probably lucky that it is. Elon Green had a seam, and he probably had another 15, 20 yards to run.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, number 60. Repeat second down.
Gene McCoskey. Procedure call against him.
Couple of penalties now that have hurt the Riders. Remember Andrew Moore on that huge Chris Zarka run. That came all the way back, and there's the penalty situation. 14 for Saskatchewan, 9 for Ottawa. You'd almost think coming in it'd be the opposite with the new team trying to gel.
The expansion team would be a little less crisp. You might think the expansion team wouldn't have the lead even by 3 points with his time left. Here's Ben Ross. He's had a big night so far, 1 touchdown.
Mike Moten was in a bit of a bind. He was in a bind, John, for the Ottawa Renegades. Not a guy normally will be into pass coverage. And when Moten, the defensive lineman, got caught in space, Bendros just found a little hole in behind him. Bendros putting together what could be a 100-yard night. Bendros is an interesting story. He struggled in the second half of the season last year in Saskatchewan, but you know, when you talk to a lot of the people on the team, sort of had the wrong mentors at the time, and one of them was Curtis Marsh, no longer with the Riders, who had his problems off the field and was maybe not the best influence for Demetrius Bendros. He came back to camp with a new attitude, and he has really come on in training camp in the preseason and having a great night tonight.
Back in form, no doubt about it. 47 catches, 674 yards last year. And that's a little below the standard they've come to accept from Bendros.
Well, because of his speed. I mean, he's just got great speed. He's one of those guys that can get right up on top of a defensive back. In other words, in behind him so quickly. They expect more out of him.
Riders go gambling. 3rd down, less than a yard to go. Should be easy for Nealon Green. And there is a flag down far side. It will be a 1st down, however.
4 defensive linemen for Ottawa that playing in their first game, and they got to remember that if it's 1st down or 3rd down, you still have to give a yard off the ball.
Offside, Ottawa defensive line, 1st down.
Everybody.
Well, that's what I meant.
That would be number 92, 97, 98, and 44.
Yeah, they're all up there, and they're all inside that neutral zone. 98, Mike Moten is the guy who got caught on that pass to Bendros. There's Clinton Wayne over from Calgary in the expansion draft. He's getting a chance to play. Didn't start the game. Getting a chance.
1st and 10. Riders at the Renegades. 35. Wide open target.
Nice.
It's Bendros again. And he'll get the 1st down. Donnie Ruiz was over to make the tackle. One more coming
Settle
up
in.
right after this. The panel will hang around tonight and be signing autographs here at Frank Clair Stadium while they do the halftime and the next show as well. Edmonton at Calgary. Eskimos Stampeders kicking off tonight at McMahon.
Settle in, football fans, because you're going to be taking a look at the handsome young gentleman down in the corner of the end zone. That's where their location is. The big Wendy's Friday night football tent. And boy, what a reception we've got from this organization in this city.
Nealon Green is scrambling again, escaping again, and he has another 1st down.
Now, John, Nealon Green has run for 1st downs in 2 other occasions. What was the result of both those runs? The next play. Touchdown throw.
The Wendy's Friday night quiz.
Touchdown throw. That's your Wendy's Friday night quiz. Watch how he jumps out of the tackle here. He sees the seam to his right. There's the tackle. He just jumps out. That's just strength in the legs, because for a lot of quarterbacks, that hit, that's a 260, 280-pound lineman. That hit is enough to trip you up. But Nealon Green is so strong in that lower body.
This drive began back at the Saskatchewan 27. It has been impressive, to say the least. And the Riders have another first down here at the 11. Green throwing for the touchdown. Flags are down. And he caught the ball anyway.
Oh, baby, this one could
Corey
go.
Holmes made the catch.
This one could go either way. Ricky Bell was in coverage out there. I thought I saw Corey Holmes with a little bit of pushing, Ricky Bell with a little bit of grabbing.
Well, there's Ricky Bell, 25.
It could go either way. And
Corey Holmes is 19.
Glenn Johnson figured this one out. From our angle, we really could. There's the pattern right up to the right of your screen. See a little pushing in the back from Corey Holmes. And just prior to that, Ricky Bell had grabbed onto Holmes just ever so subtly.
Forward pass interference, Saskatchewan, number 19.
They got Holmes.
First down.
Well, you know, and
that's not called as often as the other way.
The flag came out late, too, which would indicate that it was Corey Holmes at the end of the play and not Ricky Bell in the early stage of the play. But Ricky Bell had good position on the football, and it's a great call because that really could have been an interception in the end zone for the Renegades.
So no touchdown. Saskatchewan has the first down. It's back at the 20, however. First and 20. And Holmes heads to the end zone. He'll get 6 anyway.
Great call.
20 yards, touchdown, Corey Holmes. Nice debut in the CFL.
Well, he has been returning kicks for the most part in this game and now getting a chance to come in for Cedric Shaw. Corey Holmes right in the middle of your screen. He's going to take that jab step to the left and then hit it up in there. Nice block on Kelly Wilshire at the point of attack, and Holmes is in the end zone.
He was around for 3 games with Saskatchewan last year, late in the season.
Well, and I love how they go right back to Holmes, who had the penalty on Ricky Bell, put him in tougher field position. They go right back to him, and he makes amends.
The Riders have the lead. We have 6 minutes to go. And the rebirth of football in Ottawa. This is the Renegades home opener.
Hey, Mac.
Saskatchewan with a 24-20 lead on the premiere of Wendy's Friday Night Football. And Corey Holmes has his touchdown tonight. Donnie Ashley after the touchdown. This is Ashley's return. Across the 40, and let's bring in Brent Wallace. Brent, stand up wherever you are.
Thanks very much, John. Section G, row 21, one of the greatest players to ever play in the CFL. That's 3-time MVP Russ Jackson. How excited are you to see football back in Ottawa?
Oh, it's just terrific. Not only for the fans who are having a great time, but just for the history of the game. Ottawa's had so much history, over 100 years of football. Kind of neat to be back.
Wish you could be playing again. Maybe they could use your help right now.
I don't think so. I don't wish I could play anymore. No health insurance would cover me anyway.
What about memories? What memory stands out here for you?
Well, I think that winning, not playing, one of the worst ones was not playing in the Grey Cup game in 1967 that was here. Played in 66, 8, and 9, and we missed, as I say, in the 67th one. So I just think that's one that stands out, but just playing with so many good football players here was just an outstanding time.
Thanks very much, Russ. It's great to see you again.
My pleasure. Great to be back here.
Crowd cheering for the penalty markers on the field. Eddie Brown.
McCalla gets called in the pass interference, but nice to see Russ Jackson back in this stadium. Of course, take a look one more time at this interference call that got the crowd pumped up just as we finished talking to Russ. You can see the early, actually it was Omar Evans. Adolphus McCalla was down there on the play as well.
Little doubt about the call.
There's no infraction on the play. The ball is ruled uncatchable.
Well, I thought he bulldogged him to the ground.
No,
He had his arm right around his helmet.
No, this is what happened though. Omar Evans did hit Eddie Brown early. However, when the officials from the opposite side of the field that had a different angle of that pass took a look, they could see that the ball was not catchable. And if ever the ball is not catchable, the officials have the ability and the right to change the call back. And that's exactly what they did.
There you go. So it's 2nd and 10 for the Renegades. 5:22 to go. Fourth quarter. here at Frank Clair Stadium. Crowley under the cover. Davis will turn this into a first down and more. Tough guy to bring down. Darren Davis. Jason Mallett got over to make the tackle.
Well, it's been back and forth in this game. Darren Davis on the draw play. He's to the right of your screen. He's just going to step up in the line, turn around. Only one guy has a chance to make the tackle, and he is blocked there by Val St. Germain. That's Reggie Hunt. He doesn't have a chance. Darren Davis is in the secondary, and that's first down territory.
Jason Mallett of the Roughriders, one of 3 Ottawa-born players in lineups tonight. Nice pump fake by Crowley, looking deep, maybe a little late. Picked off and intercepted at the 1-yard line. It's going back the other way.
You just mentioned him, John. I think it was Jason Mallett got all the way across to help out.
Davis got the interception, but Mallett was back in coverage as well.
It was Davis that came up with it. There's Jason Mallett to the left of your screen. He's going to fly all the way over there. He helps out on the play, and I think he keeps it alive. Davis is in coverage. See how they keep it alive as they juggle it around, and it is Davis that comes up with it as he's lying on his back. Keep that ball live. Mallett takes out Eddie Brown. Davis catches it right on the goal line.
4:26 to go. The Riders lead the Renegades by 4. Could have been worse for Crowley in a 4-point game. I mean, he's got Saskatchewan beginning back at the 1, so
Crowley,
if he turns it over to the defense, he may get it back in a hurry.
On the play, it looked like he hesitated a little bit to throw that one in the first place.
Yeah, the nice pump fake, but after that, he was a little slow in delivering. And the defense comes up big for the Renegades.
Now,
you look at it, and they've got Saskatchewan back at the 1, looking at 2nd and 10.
Right. Well, there's no question that if they can hold them back here, it works like a tremendous punt that goes out inside the 1-yard line. No confidence on that Saskatchewan Roughrider bench with 3:47 left and a 4-point game. Kelly Wiltshire getting his guys pumped up in that huddle, and there's that leadership again coming out of Kelly Wiltshire.
2nd and 9. Roughriders are on the 2-yard line with a 4-point lead.
Here they come.
Elon Green. Look deep. No flags.
Renegades sent the house. What that means is everybody on the blitz, straight man-to-man coverage, and you're asking Ricky Bell, hey, you are one-on-one. Look at the pit. This is the pit right here, and every single one of them is going to be heading downhill at Elon Green. Look at him go. Full-out blitz. Green knows he's got one-on-one. Ricky Bell on the outside. Can his guy make the play? And he doesn't. It's out of bounds.
So McCallum into the end zone. 3rd down punt. And the returners for the Renegades. Standing out near the 40. McCallum doesn't get his best away. Eddie Brown lets it bounce. Flags are down.
It'll be the 5-yard version because the ball hit the ground, and you almost wonder about a safety in that situation for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. A 4-point lead. You make it a 2-point game, and I know it's that tight. Danny Barrett elects to kick it out, but he's given now with this 5-yard penalty basically field goal position to the Renegades.
Saskatchewan, number 3, 5-yard penalty. First down.
Well,
timeout.
Where do they spot the ball here? Just outside the 35 at the 37. So Crowley gets another chance. And the interception didn't hurt Ottawa very much at all. Ready for the final 3 minutes of the debut of the Renegades. Darren Davis, penalty flags go down. That was first down.
Thought it was interesting, John, as they broke the huddle. The Renegades came out on the line of scrimmage. Denny Montana was coming to the line, and the crowd was so loud, he was trying to quiet them down. It's been a while for the crowd, too, in these games.
Well,
they got to remember when offense is out there, they got to let the guys call the signal.
Well, the crowd, the fans have not had a training camp this season to get back.
That's a good
after
point.
After 5.5 years of not being able to cheer.
That's a good point. Well, they're cheering here and they're loving it. And Danny Montana was trying to quiet them down a little bit.
It worked for the Renegades. Penalty against Saskatchewan. It's 1st and 5.
Here they go. Now there you see Dan Crowley now trying to do the same thing.
1st and 5. That's what they've got down there. The Riders 32. Oh,
baby.
That could have been dangerous.
Yeah, that was going the other way. Omar Morgan.
Oliver was the intended receiver.
Omar Morgan read Jimmy Oliver's mail. He got in there before Oliver got it at the door.
So now we've spun to 2nd and 5. Four receivers to the near side.
What a fake.
A little bare naked bootleg, and Crowley is inside.
I love it. I love it.
The 10-yard line with the old Sally ran.
You mentioned Matt Dunnigan and the way he ran the football. I'll tell you what, Dan Crowley was not going out of bounds, and he was not hook slide. First of all, the fake on Jacobs to the outside. Watch how Jacobs comes in on the fake. He doesn't have anyone blocked there. He gets caught there. Now Crowley, he has first down territory now. He's not looking to get out of bounds. He's not looking to hook slide. He's looking to get up in that end zone. He just ran out of room.
Now Nealon Green is a little smoother as a running quarterback, but Dan Crowley likes to get the job done that way as well.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of fans on his side if he keeps running like that.
21-yard gain for Crowley. The Renegades are set up. 1st and 10 Ottawa at the Riders 11. Crowley a little shovel pass. Davis the touchdown.
Oh, baby, what a series. And this is just game 1, partner.
Can we be back here next week for another night at Frank Clair?
What a series of plays from Joe Palpal.
In fact, the Renegades will be at Commonwealth in Edmonton next Thursday night. That's the home game there. For the Eskimos on the road tonight. Well,
here's the play. Look at this. Davis underneath, Crowley on the same motion he did on the last play, and now he has an option to toss it to Davis, and he is in pay dirt.
If the Roughriders do not come back, take the lead, and win this one, I would think that Davis would be included in the headline.
Well, you can bet on that.
Back in Saskatchewan, when the reports of this game are out on the Star Phoenix and the Leader Post. Crowley makes a couple of nice plays. The run was pretty. The pitch for the touchdown, even nicer. Ottawa on top, 27-24. Well, there's lots of time left for the Saskatchewan Roughriders. Unofficially, 2 minutes, 26 seconds.
Great series of plays here. Dan Crowley, look at Darren Davis on this one. He just steps up in the line this time and doesn't go out, and that's where Crowley runs. On the very next play, it looks the same for the defensive line, except for this time, Darren Davis sneaks out into this area, and now Crowley has the option to give him the football. Great series of play calling again from Joe Powell.
Well, that was very well executed, too.
Absolutely. Well, it takes both sides. You got to call the plays properly and then execute them.
And it was a little shovel pass for the touchdown to Darren Davis. The Renegades have the lead. The Riders have lots of time to get back and get even. Out across 35 to the 40. And that's Corey Holmes with a 25-yard return.
Well, they have lots of time. Not only do the Riders have time, the Riders have time to move the ball down the field, score a major or a field goal, and then Ottawa may still have time to get the ball back. This game is far from over now. If you're the Ottawa defense facing this guy, Danny Barrett and Nealon Green, the way he's been running the football out of the pocket, your objective right now in that Ottawa defense is to keep him contained and make him a passer. If they're going to beat you, this is what Ottawa's got to be saying. If they're going to beat you, make them beat you through the air.
Field goal ties it for Saskatchewan.
And now the crowd can get in.
Yeah, and this is what we remember about some great nights in Ottawa. They've seen it all here tonight, including a near sellout. Green far side, a little too high. Armstrong was the intended receiver. Donnie Ruiz was covering. He's number 3.
Ruiz been playing most of the game on that corner. And that's another one of the great Canadians that picked up by Eric Tillman to build this team. Been involved in a bunch of plays, and none more important than the ones in this series right here. That was play 1.
Kevin Devine was listed as the starter. He's a rookie who was in the Blue Bomber camp last year and lost a job to Jerron Bolden, but we've seen more of Ruiz than Devine. Over the middle, a little too far. 2:11 on the clock. No penalties are being called.
John Nealon Green wanted a penalty on Donovan Carter over the middle. That throw to Quincy Jackson. The reason he didn't get the call is like when it went the other way on the last series, ball was not catchable for Quincy Jackson. It was well overthrown. Quincy Jackson trying to get to the middle of the field. Now he does have some space. Donovan Carter's on his way, number 2. You see that ball was so far overthrown, no flag comes out.
Looked a little bit more like World Cup contact there, didn't it?
No, because the football players got up and ran off the field. They didn't lie there like they'd been shot.
They just meant leg on leg. Here's McCallum on 3rd down, Saskatchewan. Here's Donnie Ashley returning for the Renegades. Ashley can't get away. Excellent downfield coverage by the Roughriders. And the return is only 2 yards as Teddy Neptune led the tacklers there. How about this for a game story? Nealon Green, a couple of touchdown passes and rushing for 118 yards.
But in the first half, he did turn the ball over twice, which led to 10 points for the Renegades.
And here, for trivia buffs, the answer is Dan Crowley.
Yeah, we'll give it to you this time, but next time we ask, you got to get it on your own.
And the ex-Rough Rider Darren Davis has had quite a night.
He's having a night. Well, the game was the Riders to win when they had 2:20 left and the football. Now it's down Dan Crowley's to win. 1:56 left. He has the football. A drive here, he can finish this one.
But the Renegades have to drive the football and take the time off the clock because there's way too much in a 3-point game. Particularly when you got a kicker like Paul McCallum ready to go and tie things up.
I believe it's going to be a time count violation.
Time count violation. Ottawa, number 9. It's 2nd down.
You know what Dan Crowley did? He got to the line of scrimmage with a play and tried to audible and change directions. He wanted to get Darren Davis on the opposite side for one of the pass protections, and it took him too long to get that ball snapped.
Yeah, so this could be costly to Ottawa because they're looking at 2nd and 10 now.
Yeah, and because you lose a down inside of 3 minutes on a time count violation.
Davis, and the Riders were not fooled there. Travis Smith was waiting.
And now again,
still time for Saskatchewan to tie. Still time for the Roughriders to win as well.
You know, and Danny Barrett and Joe Palpa are good friends, and they have a tremendous amount of respect for each other. But boy, are they competitive. And I get the feeling right now that Danny Barrett just got his back to his old buddy and saying, man, we got to go. This game can still be won, and it certainly can.
Tough schedule for Saskatchewan after this one. Calgary, at Montreal, Edmonton, and then at Calgary. So it's tough games, and here is good special teams coverage by the Renegades. Holmes on the return. Ruiz, who's had a nice second half, in particular, one of the tacklers there. 8 on the return, so 1:29 remaining. Fasten your seatbelts.
John, when you talk about the development of a young quarterback, they go through the trials and tribulations of playing this game, the ups and downs and the highs and the lows. But sooner or later, to take the next step, you got to be put in these situations, and you got to succeed in these situations. It is on Nealon Green in game 1 to drive his team down for the winning points.
1:29 to go. The Riders are 3 down to the Renegades. Nealon Green has his target. It's Rocky Henry, and he's inside the 45.
And that is a great start.
That's a super play by Saskatchewan.
Well, it's a
almost in McCallum range.
It's a great start for Nealon Green. He talked about the pressure on him right now, and to take that next step, he's got to succeed under these pressure situations. He stepped up calmly and delivered a strike to Rocky Henry.
23 yards the game. Just over a minute to go. 1:06 as they snap the ball. Green back in a hurry. Not this time.
Quincy
Jackson lost it in the lights, I think. He was looking high and couldn't find it.
I want to tell you something, though. Gerald Vaughn, he got away with one. Now, it was subtle, but he grabbed the shirt of Quincy Jackson. Now, I'm not sure if Quincy Jackson would have been able to run under it. That was very close.
Up next, our mission continues to bring you continuous football every Friday night. Tonight, a doubleheader. Edmonton and Calgary coming up next from McMahon.
The ball's back, baby. We got a barn burner right here.
2nd and 10, Saskatchewan. A little swing pass. Shaw makes the catch. He'll get the first down. Broke another tackle until Wiltshire got over to get the stop there, number 1.
Well, now if you're the Ottawa defense, you're reeling. You're on your heels, and you got 4 guys up front that are in their first game. Pressure's on them. You know fatigue has got to be settling in. Kelly Wiltshire, it's up to him now. With Nealon Green getting his directions, it's up to Wiltshire to turn around and get the boys straightened out. See how they're breathing hard right now, late in the 4th quarter. Kelly Wiltshire's got to become the general out there, just like Nealon Green on offense.
Yeah, Riders grabbed 19 yards. They're in McCallum range now, 50 seconds on the clock. The tie is sitting there for Saskatchewan to force overtime. The toss for the touchdown, a little too far, about a yard too much for Jackson again.
Quite a battle going on there between Gerald Vaughn and Quincy Jackson. There's Quincy Jackson going to go outside and then down the sideline, and Vaughn step for step the entire way. See, he goes outside. That's a legal jam. Now the hands are off. Both are looking back to the football, so there's no call.
2nd and 10. Ball at the 25. This is for the win of the tie right now. Rocky Henry could still make it a Saskatchewan victory.
Well, McCallum right now is concentrating on what he has to do, which is possibly put this game into overtime. And the kicker is the loneliest guy on the bench in this situation. What he's doing is visualizing that kick going through the uprights every time he hits it.
And no one wants to look him in the eye at this point.
No, you want to stay away because you don't want to jinx him or mess with them or screw up his head.
From the 14.
Nealon Green upset with his offensive line. They moved early when Green was trying to set up the formation. They'll get a costly procedure call.
Looks like Jeremy O'Day.
You know, and it's interesting to see what Nealon Green wants to do and Danny Barrett on the sideline, because they're in easy field goal range here for Paul McCallum and put it into overtime. If you force the ball down the field, it's that risk and reward thing one more time. You throw the ball, 3 things can happen. 2 of them aren't very good. Incomplete or interception are 2 of them. Complete is the only other one that's good for your offense.
Procedure, Saskatchewan, number 66. Repeat first down.
Well, they're saying Lazio.
Rob Lazio called there. That 1st and 15. See how aggressive Danny Barrett and Nealon Green are with this play calling.
First down and 15.
They're throwing.
Shotgun. Green puts it up, and that was tipped at the line. 18.3 seconds to go.
There's big Mike Moulton in there. And again, that one tips up in the air, and you got an interception, and that's it. You lose the game. Now, Saskatchewan Roughriders have a chip shot field goal to put this into overtime.
And they've 18.3 seconds on the clock.
You know, so, and there's Danny Barrett calling the plays. It's his decision. You know, you got to love.
One more they're looking at, Glenn. They're going to go for one more crack at the end zone.
Well, you got to love playing aggressively and playing to win. And when you're out there on the field, when you cross the stripe as a player, and Danny Barrett was an ex-player, that competitive fire is in there. He wants to go and win this game.
This isn't early round coverage of the World Cup. These guys are trying to win it on this play. He won't get it away, and he might have been forced out of field goal range, or at least the comfortable area.
Well, you know what it does, John, is it puts so much more pressure on Paul McCallum. He was over there warming up thinking he had a chip shot. Now, Danny Barrett got aggressive. You like that side of it, but this, again, it's risk and reward. This is the downside. McCallum, this is makeable for him. It's going to be about the 38-yard line. Great pressure up front from Ottawa. It's John Grace off the edge that comes up with the sack, but the pressure now mounts on the shoulders of Paul McCallum.
This will be the final play of regulation.
Feel like a little overtime, partner?
I can hardly wait. McCallum for the tie from the 37. He's got it. Let's play a little extra.
That's a big, big kick as McCallum quiets the crowd. I can't explain the pressure on Paul McCallum in that situation, because that's not make it and win, lose it and tie. Make it and tie, lose it and lose. Miss it and lose. Oh, I got it.
You've been working far too long tonight.
Well, we got a little more.
The overtime shootout coming up next. McCallum gets the Riders even. I don't know if we could ask for anything more on opening night in Ottawa.
How you doing? I miss you guys. Mom and Dad in Vancouver.
Well, he made it from 37, and he said hi to the fans back in Regina before he said hi to Mom and Dad in Vancouver, so nobody's upset.
Well, they're warming up in Calgary for game 2 of our doubleheader.
Eskimo Stampeders coming up when overtime is done here in Ottawa.
Overtime format is 2 mini games. Ottawa will start with the ball.
Little razzle-dazzle here. Eddie Brown got the ball, looked for a target upfield, and no one was there.
Eddie Brown was going to throw it. That ball was thrown behind the line of scrimmage, but let's take a look quickly at the overtime shootout rules. 2 teams play a maximum of 2 mini games. This is mini game number 1.
Each team will scrimmage at the 35, and follow along here, folks.
Okay, the team who scores the most points in the mini game earns the extra point in the standings. Both teams will have 1 point as it stands.
And if it stays even, there you go. But right now, 2nd and 17 facing Ottawa. Crowley missed there. Looking for Brown again.
So out comes the field goal team, and what Ottawa wants to try and get the 3 points. Now Saskatchewan, in the overtime shootout rules, they get a chance. They go back to the 35. Saskatchewan offense comes out. If they score the touchdown, game over. Saskatchewan gets the extra point. If they match, do it all over again down at the other end.
But here you've got a rookie kicker, Dimitri Skouras, for the Renegades, and the loss on the first play of the series means it's a longer field goal. This being 3rd and 17. So Skouras will have it spotted at the 49 by Harper. Lots of leg. Wide this time.
Now remember, all the rules are still in play.
And McCullough taking that all the way back for a touchdown.
Game over.
Game, set, match.
That's right. But
and we're in the Beaver Club.
They didn't.
Well, the kickoff is coming up in Calgary, and we'll get you there as soon as we can. But we've got a score to settle here. And the score reads 27 Ottawa, 27 Saskatchewan.
Well, Danny Barrett and Nealon Green are talking right now. If they go ahead and kick the ball on first down, it's basically a 42-yard field goal for Paul McCallum. They win the game, get the extra point. Now, they can't scrimmage and go for the touchdown, but they don't have to. But what they'd like to do is get a little closer to make this a guaranteed field goal for McCallum.
Well, and as long as they continue picking up 10 yards, possessions and first downs continue to be added on. Make 10 yards here, you get another 3 cracks at it.
Danny Barrett and Joe Paopao been in these situations before. Paopao needs a big play out of his defense. He needs them to find a way to somehow catch a back in the backfield for a loss.
So it's 1st and 10 Saskatchewan.
Barrett will likely run the ball either to Shaw or to Nealon Green, keeping it himself. There's Shaw, and there's the,
well, he escaped.
I was going to say
Shaw, but not for long.
There's the loss, and then he thought he was buying himself some time. Well, Joe Paopao got what he wanted out of his defense.
7-yard loss on the play.
Good pressure. Been watching Dave Thomas upside. That's just a pinch move inside by Mike Moulton, who slants right down towards the play. Makes Cedric Shaw bounce to the outside where John Grace can grab him, but Thomas has had a great game in his first in the CFL. We need 1 more or 2 more plays out of him.
Second and 17. Both teams have seen this situation. Flags go down.
Now, if this is Saskatchewan, it almost takes...
Procedure, Saskatchewan,
oh boy.
number 66, repeat 2nd down.
Well, with a little bit of a gain, you've got a chance for McCallum field goal now.
Well, McCallum is still hit from here.
Well, it's a long one. It's a long one tonight. There's virtually no wind here in Ottawa right now. But if they don't get another yard, you're looking at almost kicking from center, just maybe a yard and a half inside of center field.
This is 2nd and 22.
Coming pressure.
Long field goal try for the win coming up.
Now again, remember, down returning that kick is a guy that can take it the distance in a heartbeat, and that's Donnie Ashley. Paul McCallum has had a couple of pressure kicks now. This counts as the first mini game. Most of the people, if Paul McCallum should miss this kick, and he's been perfect tonight, most of the guys covering are offensive linemen.
This is from 54 yards. He has hit from 62. The game is Paul McCallum's to win. We're in the shootout. McCallum has plenty behind it. There you go. Dramatic win for McCallum, who nails 2 field goals, 1 from the time, and a 54-yarder for the victory. And that takes a little heat off in Saskatchewan and spoils the party here in Ottawa.
Well, you know, I'm not sure that it's spoiled. I think the Ottawa fans got a great showing from a team that was put together 3 weeks ago in this offseason and practiced a very short amount of time. And they battled, they competed, they took it to overtime. Saskatchewan, full credit for the victory.
An excellent debut for Joe Paopao and his Renegades. And Paul McCallum is the hero in Saskatchewan tonight. 2 field goals, including the game winner in extra time for a 30-27 victory. Saskatchewan over Ottawa. Football is back in the nation's capital as of tonight. Lots more ahead tonight, Glenn. Let's go to Calgary.
Yeah, why not? Battle of Alberta coming right up for you. Settle in for some more football.
Rod Smith and Neil Lumsden standing by at McMahon Stadium. Hope you enjoyed it here tonight, folks.